This guy is just a side character who wants to live a normal life. But his destiny is to fall for the major female villains, the student council president with ridiculously OP strength, and the beast-eared assassin who can send anyone to their grave. And the young demon sorceress who's an SSS rank mage. Okay, no more stalling, let's get started. But according to the butterfly effect, the fate of humanity can be changed by a single tiny choice. In other words, this is one hell of a phenomenon, at least for me. Because up until now, I've made quite a few regrettable decisions. Suddenly a loud banging on the door and a booming voice startled him. Honey, are you listening to me? I'm coming in because I know for a fact that you're in there. You'd better open this door. I already asked Ophelia, the door manager. She said you don't have any classes today. Are you planning on ignoring me until the very end? He was now extremely annoyed by that ear-splitting voice. She was no different from a stalker. Then the person outside began to growl, and a knife blade stabbed through the wooden door. Fine, then I'll just force my way in. Seeing this, he panicked, breaking out in a cold sweat with his eyes wide. This crazy woman. Looking at the door being tortured by horizontal and vertical slashes, Dot panicked and shouted to stop her. This is a violation of the rules. The student council president is the one who enforces punishment on rule breakers. More slashes appeared on the door, along with a terrifying threat. Too bad for you. And because I am the student council president. The girl quickly strode in brazenly. You've been avoiding me lately, haven't you? 32 times, to be exact. Dot collapsed onto the floor in fear. You counted? Elo's beautiful face and gorgeous figure were partially hidden under her hat. I have a question for you. Her shiny silver-toed shoe tapped on the floor. Dot cambio? Do you want to marry me? He sat panicking on the floor, looking up at Elo. Wait a minute. A different voice suddenly rang out, making Dot break into a cold sweat as he turned to look. What are you saying? Princess Chisterton Xerxes was posing on the windowsill, speaking to her in a provocative tone. I didn't expect you to target a man who's already taken. Is that how your family operates? He recognized her and cautiously called her name. Xerxes. Elo shot Xerxes a sharp glare. It seems a bit too bright in here for an assassin to hide, don't you think? Won't there be too many witnesses? Unafraid, she stuck out her tongue, winked, and teased back. Eliminating all witnesses is my motto, Princess. Dot grew even more frantic. He leaned against the wall, looked up, and gasped out a rebuttal. Wait, this is really awkward for me. I've never even thought about getting married. Another loud thud echoed as a curvaceous figure with striking blue hair dropped down from the roof. Landing in the room, both Elo and Xerxes' attitudes became more somber. Only his face turned deathly pale as he called her name Lilu. Hearing Dot shout her name, she beamed and made her offer. Come live with me. The more Lilu spoke, the more stunned Dot's expression became. The wedding preparations are almost finished. Now all you have to do is come with me. Suddenly Eudia appeared from behind, radiating killing intent as she threw a chain. How rude! She calmly stepped in front of him. See, Dot? What on earth do you do every day to get surrounded by such a troublesome bunch, huh? As your fiancé, I can't just ignore this. He couldn't believe his eyes. Eudia. Following that shock was the sight of Phaenon making a grand entrance on a magic broom surrounded by swirling torrents of fire. Could you all just be quiet? That detestable thing is mine. At those arrogant words, he couldn't seem to control his own feelings. Phaenon. Elo glanced over coldly. Looks like this has really turned into a competition. Xerxes was not to be outdone. You people are truly delusional. Lilu hurriedly urged him. What are you still standing there for? Hurry up and come with me. Eudia quickly offered him a solution. Sidot, I think it would be best if you rejected all of them. Phaenon, very serious about this fight, looked at him. If anyone objects to a matter that has already been decided, then there is only one possible outcome. In the end, Dot was surrounded by 5 stubborn and domineering women, causing his face to turn so pale there wasn't a drop of blood left in it. These women began to lunge at each other to fight a decisive battle. Trapped in the middle, he felt his head spin as he screamed, How long are you all going to keep up this ridiculous argument? That's right. The survival game pushed me into this situation. Its name is Saviors Rising, also known as SR, a bright academy story for passionate young people. It has a bit of a waifu feel, but the characters are familiar and consistent. The game Saviors Rising, like always, I beat the game and watched the ending. I found it pretty interesting and felt quite satisfied. But then the next day I got sucked in here. Ta-da. Does this make any sense? And it's not like I cursed out the game and got targeted by some godlike developer, you know? I don't have any feelings for the main character either. After all, I've been transported into the body of one, a complete nobody with no power whatsoever. The son of an unknown viscount, a third-rate extra in this world. The Campbell territory is mainly agricultural and doesn't even have any dungeons. The kind that are usually all over the Empire. It was only briefly mentioned in the SR's introduction, which is why the son of a viscount being accepted into the Royal Academy is a world-shaking story. His father spoke up, You're finally leaving, son. He replied cheerfully, Yes, father, I'm off. Viscount Campbell, wiping away tears of emotion, advised, You are the pride of our domain. Stay healthy and don't cause any trouble. Elphantis is a gathering place for the children of nobles from all over the Empire. The best thing the son of a viscount can do is not draw any attention to yourself. Understand? He obediently smiled and replied, Yes, I understand. A system notification appeared with his information. Status information. Dot, strength F, agility F, Stamina, F. Luck, F. Authority, F. Skill information, no skills. Proficiency information, no special aptitudes. Special gifts, none. He frowned helplessly, sensing the information. Everything is even a veteran gamer has never seen such pathetic starting stats. The system displayed a notification: main quest, enroll, and be assigned to a class. According to the game system, if I skip this quest, it's game over. And the academy Elfantis, where I'm about to enroll, will soon fall into chaos because of the villain's rampage. I won't do anything that could put my life in danger. He boldly encouraged his father. Don't worry, father. I'll do my best not to attract anyone's attention. His helpless father quickly denied it. That's not what I meant. But before he could finish his sentence, he cut in. I don't want to have any pipe dreams about raising the domain's reputation. Under the clear blue sky, he was determined not to attract attention. He said firmly, I don't need to get high scores either. Just being average is enough for me. Viscount Campbell stammered, trying to interrupt him. That's not what I meant. Isn't the main character supposed to do everything? I'm supposed to be an invisible nobody at the academy. My school life begins... ... His face suddenly darkened when he saw the person opposite him. But from the very beginning... Why am I in the same carriage as her Yahello the Bloodthirsty? Yahello the Corpse Piler? Yahello la Tristani? She's the final boss of this world. In the scenarios, she and the main character constantly fight, and her sanity gradually collapses. The dormant existence within her, the Grey Demon, will eventually devour Yahello's body. And then she becomes the final boss that no one can defeat, except for the main character, who has completed his final growth. Yahello was reading a book and softly asked him, Are you all right? You don't look very well. Hearing that, he quickly stammered and forced a smile. No, I'm fine. He thought to himself. The Tristanis seem to value their image highly. She said coldly, The fact that I am sitting here... Instead of in the first-class carriage was a deliberate decision to show that we, a high-ranking noble family, are also approachable. I apologize for making you worry. Everyone who shares a carriage with me has the same expression. He thought in astonishment, She's different from what I remember. The keywords used to describe Yahello were competent, perfect, and bold. But what's with this sensitive side of hers? Her gaze slowly lifted, her sparkling pale pink eyes looking at him. She asked, Why aren't you answering? Is there something else you're curious about? He awkwardly scratched his head and stammered, No, it's nothing. You're just surprisingly kind. Yahello picked up a cup of water and asked softly, Surprisingly, have you heard something unpleasant about me? He was about to protest, but before he could say anything, she continued, raising her voice. Or perhaps, have we met before? He thought to himself, I'm so stupid. He sighed, looking at her, and slowly replied, It's just... I heard you were quite strict, she replied. You're a strange one. His face darkened in embarrassment as he admitted, Yes, I get that a lot. He told himself inwardly, I'm just a mob character. Don't get involved, don't get involved. It's best to just stay quiet and look outside. Now that I think about it, the scenery around here is magnificent. And there are some big rocks rolling towards us. Wait, what the hell? His eyes widened in surprise at the rock flying towards him. He whispered, Student Council President. Yahello looked confused. He quickly reached his hand out towards her, while blurting out, Excuse me. Just then, a huge rock, moving at incredible speed like a blazing fire, slammed straight into the window where he was sitting. Identify armor and craft. Armor for an adult skeleton. Yahello always carries that with her. I can't survive with all my stats at F. This action of his made Yahello's eyes widen in surprise. In the haze, Yahello's voice asked, Are you okay? He buried his face into her chest with satisfaction and mumbled, She continued to ask, Can you move? You're heavy. When he lifted his face, he was startled and shouted, Then awkwardly and shyly he stammered, I'm sorry, she replied casually. It's all right. You did it to save me. He thought in surprise, What? She, lying underneath him, turned her face away and explained, This is the first time anyone has ever approached me so directly. But thank you, I get what you mean. So don't apologize. I awkwardly mumbled, yeah. But in my head, I was thinking about how I only jumped in to get the benefits from her armor. Yahello stood up and asked, What's your name? Surprised, he asked back, He looked at her and thought to himself, I have a feeling I'll be running into her often. If so, maybe I should reply with something like, What'll you do if I tell you? But in the end, he just told her his name. Hearing his name, she instinctively repeated it, Camel. Her gaze turned icy again as she said, All right, I won't forget this. I'll repay you later. As soon as she finished speaking, a system notification appeared. You have captured the attention of a villain. The conditions to receive a special gift have been activated. You have acquired the skills, Desperate Survival, and Fatal Charm. Someone exclaimed in shock, looking at the burning carriage that was crushed by a massive boulder. That person asked in a loud voice, What do you expect this train departed from Elfante? He was being bandaged and treated by a man who said, Thanks to the special security measures, there weren't many casualties. He groaned in pain. Ow, that hurts. The man asked helplessly, Where did I even touch you? The wheels began to roll. Someone instructed, Anyone who's been checked can leave now. Another person answered briskly, Yes, sir. The carriages quickly advanced towards the city gate. System notification, special gift. Gift, one fateful attraction. You will receive more rewards by attracting the attention of those with an evil alignment. After reading the notification, he thought to himself, no wonder I couldn't figure out the activation condition before. No matter what I did back in the Campbell territory, forget an evil alignment. Even people with a neutral alignment were as rare as gold. Of course, that gift could never have been activated. Should I take a closer look? He sat in the medical carriage as the system continued to notify him. Checking skill. Desperate survival. Level. When in danger, your stats will increase according to the level of peril. Skill. Fatal charm. Level. When facing those with an evil alignment, you will attract their attention more easily. The effect is stronger in more extreme situations. He looked at the system screen seriously and analyzed, desperate survival will definitely be useful in combat and help me survive, but a fatal charm. Can I really get something like this? The system displayed the reminder again. It helps you attract the attention of those with an evil alignment. After reading it, he furrowed his brow, wondering, evil alignment, huh? The characters with this alignment in the game include a warrior obsessed with fighting a psychotic sword god who cuts down anyone within a 3-step radius, a violent assassin who kills anyone as long as they get paid, and a magical genius with a completely twisted sense of morality. They're all nothing but trouble. But for now, it's probably fine. The most important thing right now is having a skill that helps me survive. But the strange thing is that the skill level is marked with a question mark. Even though I'm a veteran player of SG, I've never seen a status like this before. What does it mean? The healer saw him looking so dazed. He spoke up and asked, are you all right? Do I need to do another mental check? He replied firmly, no, I'm really fine. The carriage continued on its way to Campbell territory. Sitting on a bench he sighed. A person standing on a high platform spoke in a loud, clear voice. Although an unfortunate incident occurred, I thank all of you for arriving here safely. This year's new students are truly wonderful. He was lost in thought, recalling his conversation with the healer. The man had asked him, you're a new student. I heard you were in the same carriage as the young lady of House Trixterton. He had replied coldly, so what? The man then mocked him. You're just the son of some nameless viscount with no connections whatsoever. Then the man closed his eyes and calmly explained that he too was once a student at Elefante from a nameless noble family. Hearing this, he was utterly surprised. The man continued, do you think it was a mere coincidence that you were in the same carriage as her? Out of all the other options, House Trixterton has countless enemies. It would be best for you to stay away from her from now on. Get involved with those high-ranking nobles, and you'll only bring disaster upon yourself. Dot had turned to look at Yahello and replied, I'll keep that in mind. Just then, the system displayed another notification. Yahello, affinity low. Event, the first stage of trust, is about to begin. No way. I'm already involved whether I like it or not. In this academy, which is rife with schemes, it's no wonder she's a candidate for the final boss role. Just standing next to her could get me dragged into danger at any moment. While he was lost in thought, someone suddenly shouted his name. Dot Campbell, you bastard. A tall, burly guy pointed a rolled-up piece of paper at him and said aggressively, why are you just standing there? The guy next to him immediately added with a sneer, look at that country bumpkin. The one holding the scroll reminded him, everyone's already paired up for the sparring match. You're the only one left standing alone. The combat assessment begins right after the entrance ceremony, he said, and your opponent has been automatically selected. Hearing that, he scratched his head sheepishly and asked, excuse me, so who is my opponent? At the same time, a sense of anxiety began to creep into his mind. He thought to himself, if everyone else has already picked a partner, doesn't that mean the person left over is the strongest one? Looking down from above, Elia started a conversation with him. Hello? He looked up and in his surprise cried out in his mind, Elia, the world's greatest genius. She smiled cheerfully and asked him, do you need any help? He looked at her trembling so much, his knees went weak and stammered in reply, I'm fine. Wait, no. He thought to himself, in the future she'll become the savior and also the main character of Xavier Zing, this girl. This is the main character of Xavier Zing, Elia. From the stone platform, she offered him her hand. Dot's vision went dark. His eyes welled up with tears as he thought to himself, am I screwed? From inside the room, voices could be heard as if taking attendance. Count Ditan has just arrived and now Marquis Galanti is here too. A girl rested her chin on her hand, pondering. What's wrong with her? The entrance duels are going on, so why is she so late? A young man who also seemed impatient spoke up. And what about Lady Tristan? When will she arrive? Before the words were even out, Yahello walked in her clothes, still stained with blood. She went to the table in the middle of the room and slammed her blood-soaked sword onto it. In the midst of a scene like this, the girl sitting in the middle of the main hall, looking as if she was used to this, raised an eyebrow and questioned her, I have a lot of things I want to ask you. But where have you just been? With blood still not wiped from her face, Yahello replied softly, handling some matters. Elfanti sighed quietly and said, sorry, but I have something else to deal with first. Hearing this, she showed no surprise and replied decisively, all right. Under the full moon in the dark night, they spoke to each other. Hey, did anyone die? Not many, only about 12 people. Yahello crossed her arms and began to recount. They tried to assassinate me. They dropped a boulder on the Academy's ship and then tried to make it look like an accident. I found out who they were and I happened to be nearby. So I killed them. After hearing this, Elfanti reminded her, you should have left matters like that, i.e. for the Academy to handle. Hearing this, Elo turned her head slightly and replied coldly, "Too much trouble?" She glanced at her voice as cold as ice, and asked, "Are you expecting me to be some perfect person who just forgives those who want to kill me?" Hearing that she could only helplessly suggest, trying to avoid the topic, "All right, but at least go get changed. The entrance duels are happening right now. If you go, now you'll see Ilya, a rare genius, and .com. What the hell is this?" Elo repeated his name, .com Bell. The girl with glasses looked at the file and replied, "Yeah, that's him. You know him." Looking at him, there's nothing special about him. Elo began to recall the image of Dot on the carriage and smiled unconsciously. She said softly, "That guy is pretty strange." Over here, the crowd below was shouting and provoking, "Get him, you country bumpkin," while he held his sword, his body trembling all over. On the dueling floor, someone even excitedly started a betting game. "Anyone want to bet on how many moves he can last?" Another person replied, "What's there to bet on? If I took a hit from her, it would be all over for me." Dot looked at Ilya across from him and thought to himself, "My stats are pathetic. If I get hit, I'm dead. But if I look at it another way, this could be my chance. This situation is so dangerous that I have nothing to lose. System notification. Skill, desperate survival, rank, question mark. When in danger, your stats will increase according to the level of peril." Looking down at the roaring crowd below, he silently guessed, "I'm sure the villains I'll have to face are among the people here. If I don't die, I can at least attract their attention. With the advantage of information and this stat buff, I can survive." Seeing Dot just standing there without reacting, Ilya called out, "Hey!" He jumped reflexively. He blurted out, "Huh?" She gestured for him to be quiet and said, "Be honest." Hearing that, Dot's face gradually darkened, clearly showing his confusion. Ilya looked at him and asked, You're really weak, aren't you?" He was so surprised he was at a loss for words. Dot stammered awkwardly, "That's, She moved closer and stated firmly, "I guessed right, didn't I? At first I was planning to beat you to a pulp. But in this state," she suddenly paused mid-sentence, making him even more terrified. He stuttered in fear. "But beat me to a pulp? Why me?" she asked in a low voice. "You were with Lady Tristan, right? I hate her. Not just her, but the entire Tristan family. They're all devils in human skin." Hearing that, he narrowed his eyes and thought with admiration, "She's got guts to say that here. But she's not wrong. According to the plot, she holds a very deep grudge against the Tristan house. It's a family feud, I get it." Dot spoke up to explain, "I just happened to be in the same carriage as her." Hearing that, she resolutely pointed her sword at him. "But you still remind me of her. You pissed me off, so I was going to beat you up to let off some steam, but never mind. How about we just pretend to have a match?" Hearing that, he thought, honestly, that sounds tempting, but if I don't get stronger fast in the next 2 days, I won't survive. The only way to survive is to get noticed right now. With that thought, Dot made up his mind. "Just fight me with all you've got." Dot began to provoke her. "Actually, I'm quite fond of her." Ilya's eyes flew wide open in surprise. She stared at him with a terrifying look, tightened her grip on her sword, and asked again, "Are you serious?" Of course I'm lying, he thought to himself. But if I want her to fight with everything she's got, this is the only way. That look in her eyes, more resolute than ever it met mine, as serious as the very hatred you hold for her. System notification skill. Deadly charm activated. The villain's attraction level towards you has greatly increased. A new reward has been added to the gift catalog. Ilya said with a slight sneer, "In that case, I have no reason to feel guilty." As soon as she finished speaking, she rushed towards him, swinging a powerful blow that shattered the tip of the sword in his hand. The attack was incredibly fast and decisive, leaving Dot both surprised and terrified. He leaned back to dodge, his face contorting from the movement. Ilya asked in surprise, "You managed to dodge that, so you're not completely useless, huh? In that case, let me speed things up a bit." Hearing this, his face darkened with fear. Dot gritted his teeth, breaking into a cold sweat as he stared at his opponent. A crimson system notification flashed. Warning, dangerous situation detected. Danger level, non-life-threatening. Skill desperate survival activated at rank 10. Dot didn't seem to be in control of himself. His hand shot out and punched her right in the face. He instinctively let out a sound. "Huh?" he thought to himself. Zrank. The hand filled with immense power struck Ilya without a shred of mercy. Dot's eyes widened in astonishment as he looked at the blue sparks surrounding his body. He thought in disbelief, "Isn't this the highest rank?" That powerful punch from Dot left everyone watching the match slack-jawed. Ilya was sent flying far into the stands while Dot remained frozen in his stance, still in disbelief. Not much different from the audience, he was speechless, his jaw hanging open. The people around them couldn't believe what they were witnessing. They all gritted their teeth in fear. Dot, the student with all F-rank stats on his very first day at Elfanti Academy, had successfully subdued this world's main character. Inside a building, an analytical voice rang out. "There are two possibilities. One, this kid is an incredibly skilled deceiver." "You changed your tune pretty fast, didn't you, Zodiac?" "Well, this is truly absurd," said the man, called Zodiac, sitting in a chair. Anyone with eyes could see that, before the match, he had absolutely no combat skills or power. But that punch was undeniably real. Atananti, sitting opposite him in the center, asked, "What are you getting at?" The man replied bluntly, a hint of gloom in his voice. "What I mean is, No one at Elfanti could have gotten up after a punch like that. Not even me. The most likely possibility is that he defeated Elia Gisanexby using some kind of forbidden drug or tool. By some method or another, he temporarily boosted his power. The second possibility is that he's truly a monstrous genius. Atananti then adjusted his glasses and spoke seriously. But it will be very difficult to accept this victory. Frontier Lord Kenzie Elia's sponsor will certainly not stand by idly. However, if we overlook a student with such great potential, the academy will suffer a significant loss. If he's really a fraud, the truth will come out sooner or later. Then let's just wait and see what happens. He looked confused and asked, "What do you mean?" Atananti replied, "There are many interesting students this year. Some are special enough to require separate treatment. If he's truly as special as you say, he will surely play an important role." Very quickly, news about Dot began to spread. Breaking news. The whole world has its eyes on Dot. Who is he really? The descendant of a great knight or the strongest genius to ever set foot in the academy? Below a goofy-looking photo was a very clear headline. Lord Kenzie's new star suffers shocking defeat right after enrollment. Holding the newspaper, he sighed in frustration and muttered, "This damn news. Are they serious?" The system displayed the notification. Profile information related to gifts has been updated. The system then showed Elor's information. Character info Elor Lachastan. Trust level increased from 1 to 2. Reward ready to be claimed. Character event Baron Amut. Curiosity level 2. Received 100 points. He wearily tossed the newspaper aside and relaxed in his chair, looking at the system notifications. The system continued to display Viscount Luben. Curiosity level 1. Received 50 points. Viscount Guzon D. Interest level 3. Received 100 points. Dot looked at the system screen and thought to himself. So the progression is from curiosity to interest to trust. And these points can be used in the point shop. He searched intently, then said, "The person with the highest curiosity level is Elor. But why does the final boss, who shouldn't have any interest in me, have so much?" The system displayed claiming reward from Elor's gift. You have received the trait, Chastan Swordsmanship. Dot stared blankly as he tapped the screen. The ultimate swordsmanship of the Chastan family. One of the best in the world. What a steal. He hesitated internally. The problem is this family is connected to demon, but whatever survival comes first. The system displayed character info Elia Gisa next. Curiosity level 4. Reward cannot be claimed at this time. Seeing this, Dot said in surprise, "Why is she on this list?" He wondered thoughtfully. Gifts are only for villains who have a positive interest in me, but she's not a villain and she definitely has no interest. As he was thinking, there was a knock at the door. It startled Dot, making him whip his head around. The person outside called, "Is this Dot's room?" He thought for a moment, that voice sounds so familiar. It was Elia outside. She said, "This is Elia Giza next. May I come in?" Hearing that, Dot was completely stunned. "Huh, what is this? Why is she here? If I stay quiet, maybe she'll go away." She looked bruised and pitiful, standing outside the door, softly asking, "Hey, are you in there? If you don't answer, I'm breaking down this door." Hearing that, Dot panicked and yelled, "Wait, are you crazy?" Hearing his voice, Elia confirmed, "So you are in there. Can you open the door? I have something to talk to you about." He gritted his teeth and asked, "What is it?" Elia leaned against the door and said shyly, "Just something so we can get to know each other a little better." Hearing this, Dot was bewildered, wondering to himself, what the hell is going on? Looking down the long hallway with its warm yellow lights, Elia frowned and glanced around. Then angry, she turned her back and started to walk away, muttering, he should have just gone along with it. Why does he have to be so stubborn? Elia remembered the moment she was dragged away. She had struggled shouting at Dot, "Hey, can't we just be friends?" Back in the present, Elia was both resentful and curious. There's something strange about him. She sighed, lost in thought. I don't know how to befriend a guy. Musing over this, she wasn't watching where she was going and bumped into someone walking toward her. It made the small bag in the person's hand fall to the floor. As she knelt down to pick it up, the other person spoke up. "You should watch where you're going." Being scolded, she stammered, "Hello?" Elena Taija looked down and asked, "Are you all right?" When Elia saw who was in front of her, she froze speechless. The two of them said nothing, just stared intently at each other. She suddenly remembered a desperate warning. "Run, Elia." It was as if that warning reminded her of that fiery, stormy night, of someone standing in front of her, settling a grudge on her behalf. Her voice trembled as she replied, I'm fine." Elia's eyes were filled with hatred as she thought to herself, I reflexively grabbed my sword. At my current level, could I even defeat her? Elo Latis. As she thought her name, Elo gently held out her hand. Elia was stunned, staring intently at her, confused. But she definitely saw my hand. "Lee, why isn't she reacting at all?" Elo spoke up. "Give that back." Elia stood up with the bag, her mind racing. Is she implying she doesn't even need to react to me? Her hands trembling, she gave the small bag back to Elo and said, "Here, take it." Inside, Elia couldn't stop wondering, why? But does he know her too? As the two walked past each other, she spoke up to remind her, "Stay to the right. His room is just past this turn." Hearing this, Elo stopped in her tracks. Then she called out to Elia, looking puzzled. "Wait, how do you know where his room is?" Elo's face darkened, her eyebrows knitting together as she listened to the reply. "I've been with him this whole time." Elo asked again, "For what?" Elia wondered to herself, why is she so hostile? But despite her thoughts, she smiled warmly and replied, for the sake of friendship between freshmen. Elo seriously reminded her, freshmen are not allowed to socialize with the opposite sex. When Elia heard this, she was completely stunned by this newly added rule. Radiating a powerful aura, she slowly repeated, not allowed. Elia questioned, is there really a rule that says that? Before she could finish her sentence, Elo cut her off, stating sternly, I just made it a rule. From now on, you're not allowed to go to his room anymore. Confused, Elia scratched her head and asked, excuse me, but what is your relationship with him, President? As she turned to leave, her voice echoed back, nothing at all. However, remember what I just told you. Watching her retreating back, Elia thought back to that scene again. Dot, when fighting, is as serious as your hatred for her. She thought angrily, there's something going on between those two. Even if it's just a little, I should keep trying to get closer to him. The Elfanti Academy's class placement exam. It's designed to meticulously analyze every aspect of a student. After a one-on-one duel, students are divided into groups. And because I defeated the warrior candidate, I was placed in the highest level group. Everyone else looks so proud, and I'm the only one who looks worried. The biggest problem is this girl. I pushed her away yesterday, but now she's in the same group as me. The system continued to display a notification. Character information Elegiza. Interest level approaching intrigued. Curiosity level 5. Reward cannot be obtained yet, but it is almost time for a change in interest status. A special event will occur when the interest status of a key character changes. He thought helplessly. Her interest level went up again. What is going on? He recalled that last night a package of snacks and a letter had been sent to him. The note said, good luck on tomorrow's exam. He began to analyze it in his head. So, someone's watching me. Why is all this happening to me? A voice called out, Group 1, it's your turn. He let out a long sigh and thought, I'll just put that aside for now. I need to focus on the exam first. There probably won't be too many incidents since this is part of the main story. The system displayed character information Elo Latis, trust level 2. Character event will occur soon. Elo stood with dignity and spoke in a clear voice. A pleasure to meet you. I am Elo, the one in charge of this exam. He was completely shocked to see her. What's going on? This definitely can't be a coincidence. Elo's event was supposed to happen today, but now she's directly in charge of my group. If nothing happens during this exam, then that would be the unusual part. The 5 people sitting around the round table were also watching intently through the orb placed in the center, sharing the same thought. If he's really such a genius that he could defeat a warrior candidate, I'd also like to see how he performs in this exam. Let the team leaders guide the test. Just in case anything happens. Elo waved her hand and said, first let's move to the exam area. I'll answer any questions when we get there. Luca suddenly exclaimed, they must have invested a lot in this place. Someone walking ahead called out to him, be quiet and follow along. Luca? All of them entered a dark place together. Someone exclaimed, this place looks amazing. Someone else said, the lights just went out. She was lost in thought and said nothing. Elia, who was next to her, saw this and urged, hey, you said you'd answer our questions when we arrive. So is this part of the test? Dot was looking at a lever and thinking, I think I can answer that. The entrance has been sealed and the power is cut. The system suddenly announced, Elo, event, now in effect. After reading it, he sighed and thought, this is a trap, not a test. The system displayed more information, character Elola Chistain, event. Following the assassination attempt, the surviving assassins are still targeting her. Protect this person. One of the new students spoke up, reminding them, they'll take care of it, don't worry. Another one with a beard said, but we should get moving. Who knows what could happen here? Dot observed from a distance, thinking, wait a minute, I'm just noticing now, all of these people, they're all members of the main character's party. If I remember the script correctly, this is where they all meet for the first time. In other words, everyone in this room is pretty important to the story. As soon as he thought that, he pointed to a wall and said decisively, I think the central hall is the most logical place to move to. One of them exclaimed in surprise, what the hell, there's a map there. Dot continued, there definitely aren't any relief supplies there. Most importantly, it's a large open area. It'll be easier to defend against ambushes compared to these narrow hallways. Chisa asked, feigning fear, ambushes. He continued trying to persuade them, you two must have sensed it as well. Right, President and Elia, we're not the only ones in here. They heard him but didn't know how to respond. I'm going this way. Elia asked, bewildered, why? He just answered briefly, because it's necessary. She got angry, pointed at him and said, but why? That's the complete opposite direction of the central hall. His face darkened as he replied dejectedly, I can't say right now, but this is very important. I'll explain later. He looked at Elo and thought, yeah, it really is important. I'm not lying to them. Nothing's more important than protecting my own life, right? The sound of footsteps echoed in the darkness. Dot spoke up, all right then. Then he continued walking. He recalled the powerful punch he'd landed on Elia and mused to himself. It seems like defeating Elia has given my words some credibility. Now I just need to hide until this event is over. Anyway, the assassination target is Elo, so they won't pay any attention to me. I just need to find a quiet corner and wait. As he was calculating, a voice suddenly called out, hey, you there? He tilted his head slightly to see a very suspicious tall man looking at him and asking, I'm here to fix the electrical system. Could you show me the way? My eyes don't see well in the dark. Dot was feeling annoyed when the system displayed a red notification, warning, dangerous situation detected. The group was walking in the darkness. Chisa stepped in a puddle, making a splashing sound. She called out, "Hey, Elia, do you think Dot will be okay on his own? What if something happens?" Elia suddenly realized something and replied, he must have a plan. Whatever he's doing, something's not right. They stood there talking, completely unaware that many mysterious masked figures were lying in ambush above them. But Elo had already noticed all of them. She glanced up subtly. Meanwhile, Dot was walking with the supposed repairman who was scheming to himself. The vanguard was wiped out by that treacherous woman. But that only happened because we weren't here. Even this guy was easily fooled. Dot was still walking nonchalantly in front of him. As the two walked, Dot spoke up. "The equipment room is up ahead." The other man was still lost in thought. As a professional assassin, I can tell someone's skill level just by observing their movements. And this guy is just an amateur. I can play with him for a bit before finishing him off. Then I'll take his body and eliminate Lady Chastain. Dot glanced back slightly. When he didn't get a response, the other guy started to take off his mask. He held a short sword in his hand. "Very good. It's time for your reward." He sighed in frustration. "Thank heavens, just as I predicted. If my opponent had any real skill, I would have been in real trouble. How fortunate. Your gait, and even your rhinitis. You're still the same man from my memories." The assassin frowned, thinking angrily. What the hell is he talking about? He began to grip his sword tightly and said, "Let's see now. Desperate survival, rank A." He trailed off slightly, making the assassin scowl. "I really have no idea what to say anymore. Whatever, he's just a weakling. I'll finish him off right now." He then got into a fighting stance, gripping his sword with both hands. Elsewhere, one man in black was slammed hard against a wall while another was hit by an arrow splattering red blood all around. They all coordinated with each other perfectly, taking down the entire group of ambushers. One of them spoke up, puzzled. They're weaker than I thought." Elia turned and yelled, "Vankasser, freeze them." She wondered to herself, and what about Elo? As soon as she thought of Elo, she stomped her foot on the ground. A single light swing of her sword sent 4 ambushers flying into the wall. One of them cried out in pain. He spat out a mouthful of fresh blood, and the man beside him immediately started coughing up blood as well. Elo walked over to one of the ambushers and asked, "Besides you all, who else was deployed?" "If you don't answer, I'll snap your neck." The man's hands were frozen, and combined with his fear, he trembled as he answered, "The Crescent Moon Guild of the one named Hey Smash." She continued to ask, "Is he in this building?" The man replied, "I can't tell you." Hearing that, she became furious and decisively stomped on his face. She then grabbed him by the leg, holding him upside down, and coldly asked again, "Is that assassin present here right now?" She stared at him intently. He trembled and replied, "Yes. He came with us." From behind, Elia also chimed in, "What would make you risk your life like this?" The other man replied, "They tried to kill me. And Hey Smash of the Crescent Moon Guild is an assassin who can impersonate others after killing them. So then, who is truly the most dangerous person in this building?" Elia frowned, thinking it over, there's only one person. She stammered softly, "Don't tell me." He turned himself into bait to lure out the strongest enemy. "They're assassins, and they're targeting you." "Then why would he go that far?" "What is your relationship with him, really?" Elo replied coldly, "I've already told you. There's nothing between us, at least from what I know." Hey Smash cursed inwardly. "God damn it. To think a professional assassin like me would be defeated. The Guardian Spirit is supposed to be a non-physical barrier that only reacts to weapons. So why? Are there traces of Chisern swordsmanship here? This school is an ancient and mysterious place, so I suppose it makes sense. But an assassin is a weapon in and of themselves. But why? He only used a single staff. He was able to beat him to a pulp without giving him a chance to counterattack, then delivered a single heart-piercing thrust-applied system. You have successfully executed the Chisern sword technique. Your Chisern sword technique trait has increased. He looked at the staff in his hand and breathed a sigh of relief. The assassin thought angrily, the Chisern sword technique. Looks like I shouldn't have messed with him in the first place. Then, leaning against the wall, he said with difficulty, "So you were the one luring me into a trap. Who are you?" The protagonist looked confused. "Huh? System Deadly Charm skill has been activated. The villain is stunned by your meticulous plan. Thanks to the game system, you can't use weapons at a save point. That's the reason I led him here." Seeing that he wasn't responding, the assassin sneered. "I guess you don't intend to answer. Fine. Finish me." The protagonist calmly replied, "I don't intend to kill you." The assassin asked in surprise, "Why?" He didn't answer him, but simply gave an instruction. "Pass on this message. Don't be foolish enough to go near Lady Chisern, and tell them that even a high-class assassin like yourself nearly died here." Thinking of Elo's dark expression, he silently reasoned, "I don't know who gave the order, but it's very likely they won't stop. If that happens, the chance of Elo's grey demon awakening will be even higher. So I want to snuff out this danger from the very beginning. Asterisk." The assassin looked at him with a crooked smile and asked, "And what if I come back?" He didn't hesitate to challenge him directly. "Then go ahead and try again, because next time I'll protect her too." The assassin asked doubtfully, "Is Lady Chisern really that important to you?" He answered bluntly, "Let's just say she is." After hearing that he was suddenly speechless, System Deadly Charm skill has been activated. The villain's favorability has increased dramatically. Elo overheard their conversation and looked at him stunned. Dot turned to look at Elo, who was now walking towards him step by step. Meanwhile, in a student council room at the academy, Elfanti, a strained and miserable voice, cried out, "Oh God, everything is such a mess. I understand why the headmaster is angry, but to make me hunt down the organizers immediately, when I already have a mountain of work to deal with. This academy is a real mess. Based on the route and timing of the assassination, it's almost certain there's a spy on the inside. Elo, I know these political power plays aimed... Ola, you are a daily occurrence, but this is already the second assassination attempt. It seems they're very determined." But in response to that concern, Elo seemed almost unconcerned and said evasively, "I wonder." The girl quickly picked up her train of thought. Well, this incident does seem a bit different. The one behind this incident, I'm sure they'll strike again. And the people who were with you last time were all commended, yet not a single one of them died. And then there's him. He's the only one with no record of being commended. There's no reason he shouldn't have been recognized, and I have no idea why that is. It's as if he's intentionally trying to avoid the Academy's attention. Hearing her friend's series of analyses and concerns, Elo just said, "I wonder..." Her friend interrupted, angrily shouted, "I'll punch you if you say..." "I wonder one more time." Elo, not at all scared, calmly provoked her. "Go ahead and try." Getting too frustrated, she grabbed a nearby vial and threw it at her friend. She shouted, "What the hell is wrong with you?" Elo easily caught the vial and asked emotionlessly, "Is there a problem?" Her friend said impatiently, "You've been distracted all day. Can't you focus at all? I don't know what's going on, but if you don't tell me, I'm not helping you anymore." At that moment, Elo unexpectedly spoke up. "I think I'm starting to get interested in someone." Surprised, as if not believing her own ears, her friend asked again, "What?" Elo gently repeated, "I said I'm interested." Immediately, a question popped out without a second thought. "Dot Camel," Elo said shyly. "You just mentioned him, didn't you?" Her friend asked in astonishment. "Dot Camel." A silence fell over the room. It took a few seconds for the girl to process the information. She then asked in surprise, "Wait, hold on. You like that country bumpkin?" Elo immediately retorted, "I never said that." She looked at her friend worriedly and asked, "You haven't..." She didn't know what he had done to catch her eye, but what if Professor Tristan ever heard about this? Elo just replied, "That old geezer would definitely be furious." She walked closer, placing the vial she'd just caught back on the table. Then she said coolly, "Besides, it's not like I like him anyway." Seeing that casual attitude, her friend could only think to herself, "I guess so." Elfanti rubbed her head wearily and said to her friend, "Good grief, don't deny it. Anyway, regardless of how he managed it. He treated you pretty well, right? Normally you would have started getting suspicious right away. As the young lady of the Tristan house, you should be more careful." Elo calmly replied, "That's true, but I just need to test him." She looked at the photo on Dot's student file, then said, "If I observe him carefully, it should be fine." Her friend didn't quite understand and asked again, "What do you mean?" "In that dorm room, the person who was just mentioned was currently lying on his bed looking strangely at a notice from the academy. He also said something similar." "What does this mean?" The letter read, "Dot. Regrettably, we are currently unable to announce your class assignment. The academic team is still proceeding with a project to ensure optimal results. You can expect good news in the future." After reading it, he felt nothing towards the announcement and just thought, "I don't want to expect anything. Just throw me into some random class and forget about me for all I care." But according to the rules, shouldn't I have been placed in a special class like Elia's group? Why are they excluding me like this? He then saw another notification arrive. First main quest completed. New information has been updated. Main quest resolved the incident that will occur during the freshman welcome ceremony. Reward materials for crafting exclusive equipment. He began to analyze the new quest. The freshman welcome ceremony is where the main character's class is decided warrior mage priest. Their specialty will be determined based on what they focus on developing. Just like how Elia uses a sword, I'll also go down the path of focusing on strength. That way I'll get suitable crafting materials for exclusive equipment. There's just one problem. Dot clicked on the notification about a newly updated character profile. Character information, Elola Tristan with a trust level of 2. Increased to level 5. Temporary increase due to special effect. A special reward can be obtained. This is an important character. A special event is about to occur. Time remaining for the related event, 3 days. Next was the character information for Elia Giza. Yeah, with an interest level of 5. The favorability change threshold must be met. This is an important character. A special event is about to occur. Time remaining for the related event, 3 days. Dot buried his face in his hands, thinking wearily. The final boss, the main character, and the main quest event are all happening at the same time. Something big is definitely about to happen. Suddenly, a notification was delivered. A skill has been received, skill copy. Allows you to copy one skill from a target. He stared in amazement at the flashing words, startled. Damn it, what the hell is this? Skill copy. This is insane. He had not expected this situation at all. This is an amazing surprise. Can I copy the final boss's skill? But then he hesitated, thinking, no, that's not right. Using it now would be too much of a waste. Even though Elo might be at the top of the academy's food chain right now, just like the main character Elia, she's also a final boss with potential for growth. She'll have a ton of overpowered skills later, so there's no reason to use skill copy on her right now. First, I need to prepare for the event happening in the next 3 days. Luckily, I know something that can help me survive. Under the cover of darkness, he rushed to a warehouse deep within the Academy's abandoned sector. It was the old armory. Looking at the dilapidated place before him, Dot let out a sigh of relief. It's a good thing I was able to use the pawn shop before coming here. He had equipped himself with several items for this mission. Speed Boost Potion provides a low-level speed increase. Shadow Mask provides a low-level agility boost. Catwire provides low-level soundless steps. After bypassing layer after layer of security, I finally reached one of the go-to treasure hunting spots for hardcore players, agile as a cat in the night. He scaled the wall with ease and landed softly with a precise jump. Among the items I got from the system this time, there was a rather special one, a recovery bun that restores your stamina. The description, unprecedented recovery, sounds like an advertisement, but it's really effective. Now then, time to look around. He rummaged through the piles of old junk filling the warehouse. Chewing on the bun, he thought, I've already found all the other important items. Now there's just one last thing. Found it. The Supreme Divine Relic. An ancient incense burner containing 1,000 years of power. He took out the incense burner and whispered to himself, all right, I have everything I need now. Suddenly, Dot looked up with a stunned expression. It turned out that when he took the incense burner, he'd carelessly knocked a stack of wooden crates unstable. He watched them in horror. And just like that, the crates began to topple over. Dot thought in a panic, damn it, I knew things couldn't go this smoothly forever. Suddenly, from behind the falling junk, a peacefully sleeping girl was revealed, startling him. He caught her in his arms and, to his utter astonishment, recognized her. Duzia? At that same moment, she woke up and said in surprise, Duzia. The Chapter 2 boss, nicknamed the Cursed Sword Goddess. The item I just picked up belongs to her. So this is where she usually hides out. Suddenly, the system issued an emergency notification. Life-threatening danger detected. Activating desperate survival. Rank F. Julia tightened the chain around her hand. The tense atmosphere terrified him. He quickly said, I'm sorry for waking you, but the truth is... But before he could finish, with a horrified look on his face, Julia swung her chain and attacked. That time with Elia was just a duel. This attack was so much stronger, but all he could do was grit his teeth and endure it. The cold steel tip of her weapon grazed past him, making him fully understand the situation. This wasn't a game. It was a matter of life and death. During the fight, Dot tried to explain himself more than once. This is a misunderstanding. I wasn't going to do anything to you while you were sleeping, he thought, pained. Even with F-rank stats, my whole body is aching. Duzia didn't answer, but her eyes were filled with contempt. Her gaze was cold and full of suspicion. Giving Dot no time to rest, Julia tightened her grip. The chain roared through the air like an angry steel serpent, while he could only dodge, constantly saying, Please. She lunged forward, her killing intent flaring with every movement. Once again, he managed to swiftly dodge the attack, taking minimal damage. Duzia stared in astonishment. Then, without a word, she continued to unleash a storm of attacks. Dot retreated in terror, his heart pounding in his chest. He thought with a sigh of relief, thankfully I know what to do to keep from getting hit anymore. The tip of her weapon shot towards him like a flash of lightning, but Dot gritted his teeth, closed his eyes, and just stood still. He held his position unmoving, but strangely enough, the blade miraculously stopped less than an inch from his face. Immediately after, Duzia withdrew her chain. Based on his previous gameplay experience, he breathed a sigh of relief, thinking to himself, a distance of 3.5 steps. Any enemy who enters that range will be taken down instantly. But in exchange, she can't move forward even a single step. That's the mechanic of Duzia's curse, an absolute restriction. Seeing him standing just inside that distance, she spoke, Can you take one step forward? Dot replied without a moment's hesitation, and let you cut me down. Her eyes still fixed on him, she answered bluntly, Yes. But in that moment, Dot knew he couldn't escape either. In the quiet space, her stomach suddenly rumbled, and in that very moment, Dot had a realization. Wait a minute, this is her personal territory because she has to be isolated from everyone. Even the teachers rarely come here. He thought for a moment, then spoke gently. Hey, do you want a bun? As he said that, Dot opened his hand. In his palm were several of the energy recovery buns he'd bought from the system earlier. It'll provide an unprecedented stamina recovery. He thought to himself, well, people always get hungry in situations like these. Seeing his gesture, Duzia spoke up angrily. I won't be tempted by such petty tricks. Are you really trying to bribe me with food? But Dot didn't say another word. He simply tossed the bun to her. And yet on pure instinct, Julia leaped out and caught it just like a little puppy. Thanks to the bun, the tense atmosphere began to fade. She spoke up. All right, I'll believe this was just a mistake. Dot added an observation in his mind. She really can't communicate properly when she's hungry. Only then did he dare to breathe a sigh of relief, silently mouthing the words, that was close. Duzia, now standing obediently behind him, suddenly asked, Who are you and what are you doing here? The question made him freeze. In his head, he thought, to steal stuff. But of course he couldn't actually say that. He righteously replied, I'm here to bring you some food. An acquaintance asked me to look after you. Jujia chewing on a pastry eyed him curiously. An acquaintance. Leaving a small impression now might be useful down the road. In the game, there's no way I would have met Jujia this early. So he added aloud, Oh, that's right. Don't worry, your sister is safe in the Holy Empire. The current emperor isn't concerned with you two sisters. But he didn't need to say that. For now, you should just rest. I'll be back. Jujia was originally from the Holy Empire. She had to flee to Elfanti because her infamous sword was considered an evil artifact. And as the vessel bound to that sword, she has to endure the 3-step curse. So mentioning her only living relative is probably fine. She must have been through so much with little hope left. The scene changes to the next morning. Amidst the bright sunlight, a pleasant voice rings out across the open landscape. This is the main academy building that is the arena, and over there is the training ground. You can all see everything from here. Right. The guide is none other than Headmaster Ophelia, who is giving her students a tour. You will have to choose a major and a minor production, but academics, martial arts, and faith. You're all already familiar with these 5 departments. Right. One curious student from the crowd spoke up. Does the tribe use the same educational system as the Holy Empire? Headmaster Ophelia smiled. She wasn't annoyed by the question. On the contrary, she seemed intrigued. That's right. Our teaching method is just like that of the War College and the Grand Holy Temple. So don't even think about transferring anywhere else, all right? Now let me explain more about the majors. As the students listened to the orientation, Dot stood silently lost in his own thoughts. This is the orientation event, a place where I can get more information about this world. I can't afford to skip it. All my hard work up to this point will go down the drain. Dot thought impatiently. Why do they keep asking so many questions? As he saw a young man nearby pointing into the distance. He was asking Headmaster Ophelia, who manages that area over there. Right. In the distance, almost completely separate from the academy, was a vast area enveloped in a shimmering barrier that cast a faint ethereal glow. It was like a boundary between the real and the surreal, between magic and reality. The headmaster replied, "That's correct, but that is a restricted area. Anyone who enters will be punished immediately." Thought immediately surfaced in Dot's mind, the Void Zone. It's a remnant of the historic war between heaven and hell, right on this very spot. This is where divine messengers and chosen warriors sealed away the demons. Even after hundreds of years, the aftershocks of divinity and death continue to clash, relentlessly. This area is crucial in case the demons ever break the seal. That's why the Holy Empire, the Tribal Union, and the Empire formed the Golden Triangle to monitor it. Elfanti and the other academies are also part of that system. Snapping out of his thoughts and back to the present, the atmosphere of the orientation became clear once more. Luca, his hair standing out in the crowd, raised his hand. His voice was a mixture of curiosity and excitement. "Headmaster Ophelia, can we get a little closer to see it?" Ophelia replied gently, "Standing at the edge of the Seraphim's protective shield is permitted. We will be safe there." In the crowd, Dot cracked a small pleased smile. Perfect, he thought to himself. The next part of the plan is to leave for lunch, and then come back here. I, on the other hand, have something else to do. This barrier was created by angels beings who can move mountains and dry up oceans, and the Seraphim existences of an even higher order. The student group was now standing right before the barrier, just a few steps away from the Void Zone. Ophelia spread her arms and announced cheerfully, "Let's have our lunch here, shall we?" The students smiled happily, taking a break and looking around. Despite standing before one of the most dangerous places in the world, it was only thanks to the Seraphim's barrier that the academy could even exist, so close to it. Dot, gripping the straps of his bag, looked at Headmaster Ophelia and asked, "Excuse me, may I move a little farther away? I don't feel very comfortable standing here." Hearing this, she frowned slightly, thinking to herself, this boy. Many of his classmates were whispering about what happened, but she just warned, "Don't go too far, or you'll get into trouble." Dot quickly replied, "Yes, ma'am?" Talion, watching from a distance, muttered angrily, "Is that country bumpkin getting arrogant just because he's getting some attention?" In a secluded spot, Dot took out an ancient censer. He added unicorn horn powder, a phoenix feather, and a fan made of coral. Everything was ready. The supreme divine relic, a portable censer that channeled divine power. At that very moment, a mystical vortex of light appeared in midair. He stared into it without blinking, wondering, "I didn't miss any steps, right? I came all this way just to use this. This item allows me to access entities that ordinary people could never even dream of." He stood before a massive explosion, completely unafraid. A thick fog rolled in, and a voice echoed from within. "Where did you say the Allied forces were now?" I said, "Level the ground, not dig a ditch, and just leave it there." He looked up, staring intently ahead. They said the Seraphim did it. Following Dot's gaze, he saw someone digging. A voice barked, "Look here, rookie. Do you think leveling the ground means digging a hole?" It's just that the ground is really hard, Morel." Someone replied, "Isn't the shovel in your hand a bit flimsy?" Wait. Just as he finished, Ezer and the person next to him both turned to look at me. He instinctively asked, "What's with that human over there? He's been staring this way for a while now." But whatever. At least he's quiet, which is better than those guys who just wander around bothering us while we're working. Suddenly, Ezer approached me with a terrifying look on his face and immediately demanded, "Why did you suddenly stop? Why isn't your shovel moving?" He gestured, and a magic circle appeared before my eyes. Meanwhile, the other two were still arguing. "It's moving." "No, spread it evenly. Don't dig any deeper," the other one screamed, his voice tinged with fear. A frog jumped out. A moment later, a vehicle with 2 loudspeakers drove up. The person in the vehicle called out, "Hey everyone, the sacred mud bricks have arrived. Hurry up and unload them." An angel wondered, "How many are there?" Just as the words were spoken, bags of bricks were thrown to the ground with the reply, "A lot." Then there was a shout. The female driver had spotted an angel eating a cookie during work hours. She immediately asked, "Why are you sitting over there eating cloud cookies?" He answered suspiciously, "You're the driver, right? And I am also a soldier. Please save your strength for driving." I stood before the magic circle observing. Ezra urged the other angels, "Hey, can't you see your seniors are working? Get a move on." Hearing that the angels scurried away, he stammered, "Sergeant Ezra, I'll get right on it." Suddenly another angel came closer and asked, Captain, have the supplies still not arrived?" The captain replied, "My apologies, the transport vehicle is delayed. They're making repairs, please be patient and wait a moment." Then another complaint came from the side, "Sergeant Ezra, it's broken." Hearing that, I chuckled to myself. No wonder angels don't just descend to the mortal realm willy-nilly. If I had to describe them, they're basically an army. They have a clear ranking system with a strict chain of command. This world has its own set of rules. Encountering angels is only possible from chapter 2 onwards. As for making direct contact with high-ranking angels, that's not possible until much later. I know what they want. Something simple and basic. Just 1 month later, the spot where I sat was piled high. Food was neatly packed in paper boxes. I exclaimed, "Thanks for the meal," and immediately took the first bite. The flavor was so delicious I couldn't help but close my eyes and savor it. The aroma caught the angels' attention. They whispered amongst themselves, "He's still looking this way. What did he bring? Look at how much he's enjoying that. Do you think we could ask for some? You haven't even met your requirements yet. What are you standing around for? Get back to moving bricks." Suddenly I smiled and said, "Honorable angels, please eat before you continue working. Otherwise, you'll all be exhausted." As I said that, the boxes of food were instantly teleported elsewhere. A system notification appeared offering delivery complete. The pastries were brought to the angels who were working. They turned to each other smiling cheerfully. Isaiah announced loudly, "This guy, he's all right. Take a 10-minute break, everyone. Rest up. Are those sandwich rolls? There's even steak. He really is a considerate human." I thought to myself, the rules of this world are different from the real world. A single portion for me was enough for all of them. As a few rays of light appeared in the sky, a voice rang out from the ground. "We've eaten our fill. What a luxury. Especially while we're still on the job. Hand it over." "Huh. The sensor next to you. You came to find us because you need a favor, didn't you? Hand it over. I shall bless it. State your request. As long as it is reasonable, I will try to grant it." Hearing this, I thought in astonishment, "Huh?" Just like that. He agreed already. I prepared a dozen different negotiation plans. Was there ever a path this easy in the original story? It was as if he had read my every thought. Ezra's expression grew pensive. "You're wondering why an insignificant being like yourself is being treated so well." "I know," he said. "Can he see right through things I thought? Just by observing, he can perceive the true nature of something." Then his gaze fixed intently on me. "It seems you're quite perceptive yourself. You possess an ability, but you haven't developed it at all. Invest in it now. It will benefit you greatly later." Hearing that, I was even more stunned. "What is he talking about, the gift? Does he mean my trait beloved by the darkness?" Ezra added. "That gift is far more powerful than you imagine. However, how you use it is entirely up to you. But because of it, you've already caught the eye of a cruel yet friendly monster." I was worried, but didn't show it. Damn it, I knew it. After I get the sensor, I'll have to figure out every possible strategy. I need to optimize this path. That survive at all costs mentality in just a second has now transformed into something commendable. A normal person would immediately panic upon hearing these words, but he calmly began to analyze and strategize. "I see. A great individual is taking shape. It seems I have nothing to worry about anymore." "All right, my blessing is complete," he replied. "Thank you, sir." Different voices rose up. "Sergeant, why would you say such things to a human?" "Routing complete. Almost done." "Meanwhile?" Dot was still bewildered by his own thoughts. "Cruel yet friendly. What does that mean? And me? A great individual. Isn't he overestimating me?" Before leaving, Ege managed to turn back and say one last thing. "Believe in yourself. I acknowledge you." The conversation ended. The circle vanished. He sat there stunned for a long time. He let out a sigh, having just accomplished his goal. "I just worked hard because I didn't want to die, that's all." But still, this is also a warning from an angel, so I'll think it over carefully. As the sensor hovered in the air, the system displayed Supreme Divinity C, plus it contains a special power from divine entities of another world. It has 2 skills. Asceticism, C converts all additional stats into stamina. By using a small amount of mana, cooldown 20 seconds, can be evolved through Proof of Faith. Protective Shield C uses a small amount of mana to create a protective barrier. Single use and grants a stamina effect. Cooldown 20 seconds, can be evolved through the Holy Wound. Model. I closed my eyes, my mind restless with wandering thoughts. That angel gave me some pretty useful blessings. Physical stats related to health. So they directly affect my chances of survival. Since my desperate struggle to live can help me raise my stats quickly, these skills will definitely come in handy. But the most important thing is evolution in this world. Things that can evolve will naturally improve their performance over time. To get something like this so early, in the story this is a real godsend. A system notification appeared, consume a small amount of mana. I see, he thought, but the problem is, that's just a pipe dream for someone like me who doesn't have a single related trait. If I can't use mana right now, I'll have to find a temporary substitute. That's also why I came here. The person in front of him chided, "You're not paying attention at all." "I'm listening," Dot replied. Are you sure you heard what I said? I heard every word. You said we have to form a two-person team, right? The man's expression was a bit smug as he said, and what would you know about a two-person team? Then where's your partner? Hearing this, he smiled confidently and replied, she'll be here soon. The man scoffed, and who would ever agree to team up with a nobody like you? Dot said, I'm not lying. This place will be crowded soon enough. What are you talking about? He glanced at his watch, thinking to himself, my partner is more than just famous, you know. He thought she should be showing up any time now. As if on cue, just as he finished his thought, Elia appeared right behind them. Hello, excuse me, is this the Monster Studies department? Dot turned to greet her, thinking to himself, honestly, I wasn't planning on getting involved with the main character, but I changed my mind, especially after hearing that old angel's advice. That one. Elia recognized him and mumbled, Dot. Dot turned to her and asked, that offer you made about getting to know each other better, is it still on the table? She was flustered for a moment and didn't know how to respond. She remembered that time Elia had said, I really like him. But as soon as she said it, she was dragged away by a warden. After that, the two were separated. Others whispered, first-year students are forbidden from dating. They were relentlessly interrogated. What's your relationship? It's nothing. What is he doing? He's the one who said there was nothing between us. Dot offered a friendly handshake. She was flustered, thinking, you're unbelievable. A handshake. There's no way this will work. So now he's switching to that make them jealous tactic. I've only heard rumors about just how delusional is this guy. Academy simulated dungeon. In the darkness, only 4 menacing red dots appeared. Someone spoke up. Dot, are you sure about this? Dot tried to persuade her with a less than convincing look on his face. Trust me. Didn't you say you wanted to be friends with me? You remember our first meeting, don't you? You were about to attack me. Elia replied, her tone a bit strained. Of course, even though I was the one who ended up getting hit. He immediately switched into combat mode, his expression dead serious as he yelled. Pointing forward, he yelled, if you really want to be my friend after what happened, then do as I say. Now 9 o'clock, 3 of them. Instantly, a massive monster roared with fury, its sharp teeth looking like they could shred an enemy at any moment. It raised a fist to attack when there was a sudden shout. Ha! She unleashed a swift sword strike, decapitating the monster in an instant. Just then, Dot's voice cut through again. 2 more from the ceiling. They were 2 bat-like monsters, but with long fangs and sharp crimson eyes that made them look incredibly vicious. Using his observation knowledge and experience, Atka, Dot quickly called out their weakness. Their necks. Don't aim for the wings, go straight for their bodies. Elia reacted instantly, landing 2 quick sword strikes on their bodies. She then spoke up, sounding annoyed. Hey, are you going to do more than just stand there barking orders? Give me a hand. But all he gave was a curt no. Instead, he continued to observe and issue directions. 2 blades coming in from your left and right. Just parry them. Just hold on for 10 seconds. The blades shot towards her at a dizzying speed, but surprisingly, with Dot's guidance, Elia skillfully moved and dodged them all. Good neck's paralyzing poison. The nozzle is on the right, destroy it now. Elia unleashed a sword strike, decisively slicing the poison nozzle in 2. Dot continued to dodge the next 3 arrows, flying from where I was standing still. 3, 2, 1. Now there was an attack from behind. Hearing that, Elia was startled and quickly turned around. Though surprised, she was still able to block the blow. It was all thanks to Dot's guidance and her own quick reflexes in handling the situation. He was just giving instructions for her to follow, which made Elia feel furious. If you knew everything like this, you could probably handle it even better than me. Working together really makes clearing this stage much faster. You've just been cheering and giving instructions instead of fighting. Hearing Elia say that he froze, I want to help, but I can't. I'm just a trash character with all F-rank stats. This is just a simulated battle with no real danger, so my desperate survival skill won't activate. These things are just artificial entities operating on a preset program. Desperate survival isn't an all-powerful skill. I have to raise my stats fast. Suddenly, Elia charged towards Dot, her face looking terrifyingly determined. She charged straight ahead with her sword, yelling, Dot! My face went pale, my eyes widened, my pupils contracted. My smile was completely forced. This is too cruel. Elia leapt up and unleashed a powerful sword strike. That slash decapitated a large humanoid monster behind Dot. Her face was full of fighting spirit and confidence. Witnessing what just happened, I could only stare with my mouth agape in shock. As she landed, confetti cannons fired. Such incredible speed, she just shattered the previous record. Elia, still in a daze, asked in confusion, what the hell is going on? I fought by myself and set a new record. This was supposed to be a stage for 2 people. How did this happen? My smile was a bit strained as I thought to myself, even though I look like a mess. I really am a bona fide cheater. We just got lucky, I replied to Elia. The next area will be a bit harder, but let's keep going. Good luck! But perhaps Dot didn't see just how furious she currently was. Her eyebrows were furrowed, her eyes squeezed shut, her teeth biting down on her lip. She was so angry she didn't even bother to turn around and yell at him. It seems the entire battle was witnessed by someone through a magic mirror. That person spoke in praise. They're doing quite well, aren't they? This is the dean of SBOGZ, Bercy. Bercy placed a hand on her small lips and then decided, it seems we'll have to allocate more funding for the mock battles next year. She then turned to ask for an opinion. What do you think? Bato Zodiac. A man in a green military uniform, with his hand on the head of another person, just over a meter tall, spoke up asking, "Was this designed by the tactics department?" The person replied, "Yes." That man in uniform was Zodiac. He continued, "But more importantly, it seems we were quite lucky that the one we're targeting is performing so well." At this, Bercy replied, "Are you referring to that girl?" Next term's warrior candidate, her progress has been phenomenal. She's indeed one to watch. But immediately after, he quickly corrected himself. "No, not her. Him. Dot Campbell." Bercy looked annoyed and questioned, "That swindler, isn't he just tagging along with the warrior candidate? This is, the problem with you mages who only know how to twirl your pens. Why are we even arguing about this?" But Zodiac replied firmly, "That warrior candidate could never have set this record on her own." She was taken aback. What he said then explained. "Anyone can see that she's stronger and is the main damage dealer. But he is the key. The way he positions his teammate, the way he gives commands, with split-second precision. His flawless ability to provide cover, every single one of his actions, was the most optimal decision." Zodiac thought to himself, everything is meticulously calculated as if he has fought on brutal battlefields thousands of times before. He then turned to Bercy and proposed, "Bercy, let's make a bet." This made her flinch in surprise. Just then, Dot and Elia heard an announcement. "Mic check. This is Zodiac from the Night Division. I became interested after observing you two. The Magic Division has decided to make a wager. The topic is whether or not the two of you can pass the first year. If you two actually succeed, I will grant you a special privilege. You can make any one request." Hearing this, Bercy couldn't help but be surprised. A look of confusion was clear on her face. "Huh. Sir, why are you going to such lengths?" He continued, "If you feel pressured, I won't force you. With your current situation, this request is nearly impossible." But to everyone's surprise, Dot replied confidently and clearly, "It's no problem." He stated decisively, "Of course, we can absolutely handle this." Elia was completely stunned, her expression uncertain. "Huh, you... Dot?" Dot's confidence displeased Bercy. "Just look at him." But Konjap, on the other hand, said, "I'll bet on your success." "Then let's begin." Elsewhere. "Geez, what in the world is going on here?" Elfanti complained with a displeased look. "I understand you came here to clear your head." Suddenly a voice cut in. "Hand me the water." Then she continued her chiding. "But do you really need to overdo it like this?" Elo lay there exhausted. She wearily reached for the water bottle, her voice heavy. "There's something I'm trying to remember." Not quite understanding what Elo meant by remember, she elaborated. "When I was little, my mother taught me these techniques. But I don't remember them clearly, so I'm trying to practice them again. A demon lives in the bloodline of the Tristram family. This dark rumor has two sides. One is the inhuman transcendent talent they possess. When asked, 'Elo, aren't you overdoing it?' she slowly opened her eyes. The other side is the sudden bouts of madness, moments of extreme violence, and the erosion of reason. That's why, even though members of the Tristram family have achieved countless great things, their final years always end in tragedy." Then she paused. Elo opened the water bottle and drank continuously. Elfanti asked, "It's not that serious, is it?" She sat up and replied, "It's nothing to worry about. I don't let it bother me anymore." Not believing her, she asked again, "Really? Then I guess I can speak freely." Elo put the water bottle down, looking serious. "Why are you being so cautious? I already told you." Nothing can bother me now." The auburn-haired girl replied, "It's about that. That person told me to report this immediately. I heard it from a junior. Dot is currently with the warrior candidate from the next class." Hearing this, Elo turned her head. "The warrior candidate from the next class." She quickly confirmed, "Yes, Elia Gisa, the next one. The girl who fought Dot," Elo mused. "So you're saying those two are teaming up? Because the simulation test is done in pairs." "I see." But it wasn't hard to tell. She sighed again, probably deep in thought. The water bottle was now crushed in her hand, water spilling onto the floor. Elo said, "Take me there." Elfanti was surprised and raised her voice. "But you just said you weren't bothered by it." Dot drew his sword. Seeing this, Elia asked, "What are you planning to do? I know you're very good, but the problem is... And even so, is it really worth challenging the all-time 6th record?" He just responded indifferently with a short, "Yeah." Faced with Dot's reaction, a dirt-streaked Elia frowned slightly. "Your confidence is really no joke. Do you actually have a plan?" He adjusted his clothes, thinking to himself, the artificial monsters have a fixed movement pattern, so it's easy to target their weak spots. But that's something I can't tell her. So he gave a very superficial reply, "It'll be fine, because you're here with me." Hearing that she frowned slightly, her cheeks flushing as she replied, "I don't believe you." Just then, Konjap's voice came over the loudspeaker. "This is Konjap. Are you two ready?" Without a moment's hesitation, he replied, "I'm ready." Hearing the certainty in his answer, he sounded somewhat appreciative. "Perfect. Now let's adjust the test difficulty. But if we do that, they will receive bonus points." Dot answered confidently. "Please set the difficulty to the highest level." Hearing this, Bercy frowned and said loudly, "I really can't trust these first years. He might seem reasonable, but this is just too much. At the highest difficulty level, there's a chance they could get killed." He still answered with complete confidence, "Even so, I believe it's worth a try." Seeing his confidence, Konjap was pleased. "Fulfill his request." Elia looked clearly worried. Perhaps she didn't think 2 first-year students could complete a mission at the highest difficulty level. Dot reassured her, "Don't worry, the warrior's water has been spilled. It can't be gathered up again." Berlin, meanwhile, was enjoying a warm drink with a delicious cream cake ready at hand. "I can't believe it, Professor. Professor Konjap, you're acting like this is the first time. Didn't we do the same thing with the previous batch of first years? Why did she think something was different this time?" He replied confidently, "Just wait and see, Professor Bercy. That boy certainly has a reason to be so confident. No matter how dangerous things get, all we have to do is save them." All right. Slaughter mode has been activated. Prove yourself. First-year student Eliana. Damn it, Percy could only sigh in frustration, while the head of the strategy department had tears streaming down her face. Our club is ruined. Meanwhile, he was extremely confident as monsters rushed towards Dot from all directions. The system displayed red text warning danger detected. Danger level determined to be life-threatening. He gripped his sword tightly, his face calm and focused. Dot swung his sword quickly and powerfully. Swish. The head of the huge, ferocious rhinoceros in front of him was severed from its neck. Gonzaga, extremely excited, shouted, "I knew it! That's exactly what I was waiting for. Bercy, did you see that?" She was so surprised, she spat out the tea in her mouth. The head of the strategy department's eyes also widened in astonishment. Elia was fighting back against the horde of monsters. He saw it too and remarked, "I knew it all along." A large wolf charged aggressively towards him. Dot, unafraid, ran towards it at an incredible speed. Bercy couldn't believe what she was seeing. How is this possible? He's completely useless. No, every one of Dot's slashes was incredibly precise. With a single strike, he could instantly take down a monster. Gonzaga, as if understanding him, perfectly replied, "He was just pretending. I don't blame you. Anyone who hadn't witnessed his true skills would react the same way. But as time goes on, the monsters will get stronger, and so will he. This means both sides will grow together." Right now, Elia was completely focused on her battle. She had just taken down 2 monsters in a row. And a giant ant. On his side, he wasn't faring any worse, as the number of beasts they'd defeated was the same. They continuously took down powerful monsters. Elia gritted her teeth, bent her knees, and swung her sword. The blade of her weapon flashed sharp and cold. After landing a critical blow on the giant ant, she shouted, "Now Dot." He immediately understood and replied, "Got it." Then, using Elia's shoulder as a launch pad, he jumped up. Dot precisely aimed, preparing for a magnificent sword strike. Sword art, Chitsertan Lavobe, countless critical attacks. Ma'as were unleashed by him onto the giant ant. Afterwards, Dot landed successfully in a very cool pose. A notification sound rang out. "Congratulations, this power is astonishing. Dot Bell and Elia Gisanextor. They've broken the all-time record." But it seemed the giant ant from before hadn't been completely defeated. It raised its sharp leg, ready to pierce right through him. Seeing the danger, she immediately shouted a warning, "Look out." Surprised, he turned back and saw the attack was right upon him. Suddenly a voice rang out, "Duck!" A flash of golden light streaked by. Gonzaga's precise and powerful sword strike caused its body to explode into 100 pieces. It seems he still hadn't recovered from that dangerous moment. He stood there stunned, while the old man, having successfully cleared the obstacle, landed right in front of Dot. He praised, "Congratulations, it looks like this record won't be easily broken." His face was still dazed, while the other man kept rambling. Who would have thought a first-year student and he could handle Elfante's artificial monsters as easily as cutting grass? Although Elia was out of breath, she was still excited. "Professor Gonzaga," but his voice remained very pleased. "Thank you, warrior candidates, for your efforts." Gonzaga sheathed his sword with a smug smile. "I won Bercy." Bercy's lips turned down slightly as if still refusing to accept it. Unbelievable. Not long after the results were in, he and she read the decision together, impressed. Rent of an entire warehouse and the right to request anything from the head of the magic department. Elia shouted excitedly, "This is amazing!" Dot, who was looking on, was also pleased. No first-year student has ever had this privilege. "A hefty reward, huh?" Then she turned to ask him, "Hey Dot, I've noticed this before. But why are you always so calm?" He nonchalantly asked back, "What do you mean?" Elia smiled faintly and replied, "No matter what happens, you always act as if you already know how the situation will play out. Or as if everything is going according to your plan. There's something about the way you act that gives off that vibe." Hearing her assess him like that, he thought to himself, "Of course, because I already know everything, you fool." Elia held out her fists, signaling for a fist bump. "Hey," Dot asked, confused. "What?" Her face lit up as she answered, "Isn't this what friends do? I mean a fist bump." He seemed rather indifferent. "Seriously." The moment their fists bumped, the system displayed Elia Gisanextor, Curiosity, level 5, approaching the trustworthy stage. Dot asked, "You okay?" Elia's cheeks turned slightly red as she softly replied, "Yeah." With that, she turned and ran off, leaving him standing there alone. Her voice was full of joy. "We'll see you tomorrow, Dot." Suddenly, someone else's voice made an assessment. "I can't tell if she's the friendly type or just plain weird." Dot shook his head and replied, "Yeah, I was thinking the same thing." And then he suddenly realized the voice was very familiar. "Wait a minute." The student council president, Yahello, spoke calmly, her expression unwavering. "Dot, do you like that first-year student?" Seeing he wasn't answering, she cleared her throat, startling Dot. He became flustered, stammering, not knowing what to say. What her? Then Dot thought to himself, if desperate survival isn't activating, then it seems she doesn't intend to do anything to me. Wait, hold on, isn't that obvious? I'm not her boyfriend or anything. But Yahello had no intention of letting it go and continued to ask, her tone more serious than before. I'll only repeat this once. Do you like that first-year student? Dot still hesitated, not knowing how to answer. Then suddenly the system's voice rang out, warning danger detected. This terrified him, his face turning pale. An indescribable feeling shot through him. I feel like I have to say something. Meanwhile, the system kept repeating its danger detected warning. At that moment, Dot spoke, his tone strangely calm. So what if I do student council president? Yahello was surprised. What? His confident demeanor didn't last long as he was once again overwhelmed by her presence and became flustered. Well... Dot gathered all his courage, shut his eyes tightly, and said to her decisively, even though I've been training with Elia this whole time, I really wanted to see you. She froze on the spot when she heard Dot's words. Why so suddenly? Dot let out a sigh of relief as if he'd just escaped a dangerous situation. But inside, the psychological battle was still raging. He asked himself, what the hell are you doing, Dot Camel? This trick won't work, you idiot. The corner of Yahello's lips seemed to curl up slightly as she confirmed, so you're saying you've missed me this whole time? Before he could even think, Dot quickly replied, that's right. Yahello crossed her arms and turned to question him. Why? He clearly hadn't anticipated this question, so he just stammered, unable to speak. Well, I don't really know why, either. Deep down in his mind, the same question lingered. What is this? What's wrong with me? Seeing him like that, she gently tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, her cheeks blushing. As she glanced away, a rare shyness on her face. Just forget it. Maybe this is just some kind of friendship thing. I get it. It's because I saved you on that train, right? You do remember the priority list, don't you? Hearing her say that, he was utterly confused, as if the memory of any priority list had never existed. Priority list. What is she talking about? What's going on? Before he could answer, she handed him an envelope, explaining, don't worry, I only came here to give you this. Seeing it, Dot immediately wondered, what is this? He was completely bewildered as he took the envelope, unable to guess what was inside. A love letter, a challenge. This wasn't in the original story. She shyly looked away. I was going to give this to you tomorrow. Remember to open it when you're alone. Dot still had no idea what was going on. Puzzled, he scratched his head and replied in confusion, okay. As rays of the setting sun shone into the room, he felt a bit regretful and confused. I shouldn't have opened it. Does she want me to be her teammate? Tomorrow is the welcoming party for new students. I forgot. But then he thought becoming her teammate isn't actually that big of a deal. I just have to spend time with her during the welcoming party, that's all. The only problem is the penalty for refusing her offer. Not only would her affection level drop, but it might also make someone else hostile towards me. Suddenly there was a knock at the door from outside. Dot opened it and said, I knew it was you. Elia was a little surprised. Wow, you figured it out quickly? With that, Elia held out an envelope. Here, Dot. Surprised, he said, this again. Hearing that, she immediately pressed him. What do you mean by that? Did someone else give you one of these? He hesitated. No. I mean, what is this? He thought to himself, I almost had a heart attack. Don't tell me she's here to make a request too. Elia pointed at him, winking playfully. What do you think it is? I made up my mind after the simulation battle. I have to go. Thanks to that troublesome bunch, the student council president had to call a doctor. She then jumped over the balcony railing, her face full of excitement as she shouted enthusiastically, Hurry up and open it, Dot. He reached out to stop her, but it was too late. Why are there so many weird people in this world? I wonder what it is. Maybe it's a request to become allies. It could also be a challenge to a duel if it were from Elia. But she said it was a surprise, which is what led to us imagining that image of Yahello and Elia. The image of them facing off appeared in his mind with neither side winning. He screamed in terror. A request to become allies. This was never in the original story. Why won't anyone give me an easier choice? If I choose Yahello, I'll be seen as the villain by the main character. But if I choose Elia, I'll make the final boss hostile toward me, and I'll probably die because of that damn priority list. So what if I reject them both? I don't know what to do anymore. This is probably happening because they're both still in the interest phase. This is so troublesome. Then a bold idea popped into Dot's head. Could I accept them both? And so the welcome party for new students began. The venue was magnificently decorated with clusters of bright lanterns casting a shimmering light throughout the entire room. This place is so noisy and lively. Class B this way. Hey, where's the last kid from Class C? Are they in the hall already? The new students were happily getting to know each other. Hey, aren't you a student from Class A? A brown-haired young man with a two-block haircut from Class A spoke up. Professor, there are so many students at this welcome party. Everywhere you looked, there were people. The scene was incredibly crowded and bustling. Elia looked absolutely beautiful, though she didn't seem to like crowded places. She sighed in annoyance. It's so crowded. This place is no different from a pigsty. She then turned to the person beside her, beaming. Anyway, thank you for coming with me. He looked completely different now, with his hair parted. The two of them entered together. Cutting back to the scene of him buying an item, a mechanic clone for $1,000, capable of creating a copy of oneself. All enhancement effects will be applied. Dot seemed to have high hopes for this item's effectiveness. I used up all my points on it, even though it can only stand in for me, but it might be useful. Just then, a system notification appeared. Double date event. You have decided to go on a date with both of them. Do not get caught before the end of the event. There will be a penalty for failure. No matter how crowded it is, this plan could still fail miserably. If someone sees me and my clone in the same place, I'll be found out instantly. So he made a decision. I'll use the cold gentleman option to shut them up. And then suddenly, he was startled by a huge noise. It was a snarling monster. It bared its sharp teeth, looking incredibly furious. It was trapped in an iron cage on a horse-drawn cart. As it was being taken away, a warning was shouted, "Clear the way." He regained his composure and breathed a sigh of relief. It's just a monster from the outside. Looks like they're going to experiment on it and then let it escape. That's when the main event will start. And all I need to do is survive with Illo and Aaliyah by my side. Shouldn't be too bad, right? Just then a mishap occurred. Pheromone effect has been activated. You are no longer an ordinary boy. Purchase applied. He suddenly noticed his body emitting a strange, attractive scent. Illo appeared. There you are. Dot was startled. Oh, student council president. She quickly noticed the scent. Huh. What is this? What's that smell? Are you wearing perfume? Dot denied it. No. It's just the flowers here. They smell nice. Illo trusted her sense of smell. I know that scent is coming from you, but this smell, it's driving me crazy. Dot was trying to brush the strange scent off himself. He muttered in frustration, "What the hell is this pheromone crap? Please, stop." Illo closed her eyes as if trying to hide something. The system displayed a notification. A pheromone effect has been applied to target Illo. The target is trying their best to resist being attracted to you. While Dot was stunned, he heard a sweet voice. Beside Dot, Illo shyly glanced into his eyes. I don't know why I'm only just noticing this now, she continued, but you're more manly than I thought. He panicked. His jaw dropped and his eyes went wide. He screamed internally, "No, stop it." He forced a smile and tried to change the subject. Why don't we head to the event? We could walk around the nearby stalls. How about it? Illo moved closer as she replied, "You lead the way." As a new student, Dot thought worriedly to himself, by now my clone has probably already met up with Elia. I have to avoid running into them at all costs. Meanwhile, drawn in by Dot's pheromones, Illo was trying to calm herself down and stay clear-headed, whispering to herself, calm down, calm down." Meanwhile, Dot was just hoping he wouldn't run into his clone. I hope nothing bad happens. If things just keep going like this, it'll probably be fine. All my clone and I have to do is escort both of them. Dot made a suggestion. Why don't we stop by that snack stall and get something to eat? Illo, with her two cheeks blushing, gently nodded in agreement. Soon they arrived at the barbecue stall, looking at the fragrant golden skewers sizzling over the fire. He said to her, "How about we try these wild boar skewers?" In his heart, he believed this was definitely the worst choice for Illo, who was always watching her figure. I need to reduce the effect of the pheromones right now. But contrary to Dot's calculations, Illo lowered her head shyly and asked, "How did you know I like this dish?" Could it be just a coincidence? The unexpected question beyond his calculations made him stammer, Yeah, that's right." But inside, he was as surprised as if Columbus had just discovered America. Oh God, maybe if she saw I didn't like wild boar. As Illo saw Dot still holding the boar skewer, she turned and asked, interrupting his train of thought, "Are you still eating that?" Not knowing how to answer, Dot glanced away to ease the awkwardness. I need to maintain this relationship, but at the same time, I have to keep my distance. I also have to make sure Elia doesn't get close to us. The farther the better. Illo walked over to a street stall and said excitedly, "Looks like they sell accessories here. As a new student, do you need anything?" Dot looked at the small pretty things in front of him, guessing that all girls must like them. He said, "No, but let me buy something for you." That's what he said out loud. But his thoughts were screaming the exact opposite. Buy a gift for Illo? No way in hell. I need to lower her affection for me. Dot picked out a plain, unremarkable yellow button and asked Illo, "This button looks alright, don't you think?" He figured he had to give her the worst gift possible, but Illo's reaction left him utterly disappointed. The girl replied shyly, "Actually, I needed a button to replace one on my uniform." This made Dot once again grit his teeth and curse himself. I'm so screwed. After that, the two decided to sit down, rest, and eat a little. Illo asked curiously, "Come to think of it, have you chosen your major yet?" Dot and Illo chose a table in a rather private spot. A few delicious-looking dishes were already arranged on the table. Answering her question, he replied, "I have. I plan to study theology." She was a little surprised and asked again, "Theology? Have you reconsidered? With your talent, it would be a huge waste not to join the Night Order." But Dot explained his choice. "I have my own reasons for choosing this path. It's part of my plan, not just a sudden thought." Illo placed her hand on the table and asked seriously, "A reason?" Dot could only reply, "To protect what's important to me, I need to learn certain things there." She asked curiously, "What is it that you want to protect?" Looking at her, he thought, there's only one answer, my life and your downfall. Holy art skills are the key to my survival. They are crucial to achieving the ending I desire. Of course, not answering Illo like that, Dot replied, "Since I was little, there has been something I've wanted to protect." That refers to the incident involving the secret society, an event that will happen in the future. That boss is particularly weak against holy art skills. She frowned slightly and asked, "Does this have anything to do with why you keep getting involved with me?" Dot found it hard to answer, just mumbling after that. Illo then continued frankly, "I know very well about the teacher family's curse. The curse that drives all members of the family insane, but isn't the only way to stop it through mental training. Do you know how to break the curse? To her surprise, Dot calmly replied, an angel's blessing. A miracle where two archangels bestow their blessing upon one person. At least that's what the rumors say. Elo maintained the serious look in her eyes and said, exactly. And you understand just how difficult that is. That's why, no matter how many great deeds the teacher family has accomplished, we are still feared. So why can you be so close to me? Why? Why do you always show up in time whenever someone tries to assassinate me? What are your intentions, really? Dot didn't avoid the question, but looked into her eyes and affirmed, what I want to protect is you. She seemed not to understand. What am I to you that you'd want to protect me? He replied, if I don't protect you, I will die. That's the truth. I have no other reason. Elo, now calm, gently tucked a strand of hair behind her ear and replied, I knew that from the beginning, but you really are a strange one. He sighed as if he was used to this. I've been told that many times. Inside, he felt relieved for having been candid with her. I've told her the whole truth without a single lie. Hopefully this is enough to satisfy her curiosity. The scene changes to another place. It seems to be some kind of dungeon. The woman was thinking, he really is a strange one. It turns out to be Elia and a clone of Dot. Around them now are ferocious monsters growling menacingly. Elia walked in front. Dot wondered to himself, is he mad at me? Why is he so quiet? Dot's clone stopped his voice full of confusion as he asked, wait a minute, when did we get to the basement? She looked back at him, thinking to herself, I need to get closer to him to learn about the Trichler family. I really don't know what to do with people like him. Men. To be more precise, I have no idea what to do with men at all. This is driving me crazy. Meanwhile, that clone of his was focused on observing the surroundings. What the hell is this place? They're all living monsters, Emilia said as she walked. It seems they were used for the Academy's experiments. The professors here are so irresponsible. How could they just leave these things in the basement like this? A nearby monster let out a furious growl, catching her attention. Startled, she turned to look. Huh. Elia observed the monster and exclaimed, even the big ones are here. Curiously, she approached the cage holding the ferocious monster. Wait a second, she said, puzzled. They're not even chained. Suddenly, the sensor used to lock the cage emitted a beep, causing the monster to growl even more fiercely. Elia's eyes widened in shock, unable to react in time as a thunderous explosion erupted. Dot quickly pulled her behind him, shielding her as he tried to get away from the blast. The scene shifts back to where Dot was dining with Elo. He felt the tremors from the explosion. She also sensed that something was wrong. Everyone at the welcome party felt the shaking from the blast. Many people screamed in fear. Shielded from the explosion by Dot's clone, she was stunned. Why? She asked him. He looked at her and replied calmly, this is my job. Elia was taken aback by Dot's strange answer and gave him a very odd look. She sat up puzzled. Huh, what are you talking about? The explosion had set a large part of the dungeon on fire, freeing the monsters from their cages. Now they were closing in on the two of them, baring their sharp teeth. Growling, they prepared to attack. Looking around, the only things that could be used as weapons were the iron bars from the broken monster cages. Her eyes filled with resolve. Anyway, thank you for protecting me. Now it's my turn to protect you. A system notification sounded. Main quest monsters have appeared. Resolve the situation immediately. If too many people die, you will receive a severe penalty in the scenario. Reward exclusive equipment, crafting materials. Hearing the system announcement, Dot immediately took his leave. He explained, there's something I must do, then quickly turned to the guildmaster. I need you to find one of the priests. Elo raised an eyebrow, confused. Wait a minute. His face was urgent. Please, he pleaded, urging, we have to protect the students first. Elo was panting, exhausted. The system updated again. Status update clone has been retrieved. At that moment, Dot rushed over to her and asked, Elia, are these all of the monsters that were released? Melia, crouching with an iron bar in hand, looked up at him and said softly, you're awake. Thank heavens. At the same time, the system registered that Elo's favorability rating had increased to curious. The system displayed a confirmation main scenario has been updated. Without waiting, she informed him, I missed a big one. Hearing this, he was stunned, realizing it must be the bear from before. It's definitely that one. Elia's expression darkened as she let out a sigh. It must still be somewhere on the first floor. If we hurry, we can stop it. She trailed off, exhausted. I think I need to rest for a bit. Seeing her condition, he asked with concern, Elia, are you all right? He thought worriedly. Right now, the main scenario is the most important thing. If I fail, I'll receive a huge penalty. I have to stop that from happening. At that moment, everyone looked up, but with terrified expressions. The monster's eyes glowed with a terrifying red light. A voice shouted, trying to calm everyone, hold on until the professors and the knights arrive. Make sure the barrier isn't broken. The monster roared, trying to smash through the barrier above. Cracks began to appear on its surface. Suddenly, a powerful voice spoke up. The headmaster and the Zodiac professors are all absent at the moment. His words were firm, however. We cannot use the angel's blessing either. Elo, looking displeased, spoke up. And you call yourself a priest. There are students over there. He turned to her, complaining and explaining. Those are harsh words to use with the Professor Lady Elo. A high-level barrier like the Angel's Blessing isn't something just anyone can cast. Just wait for the knights to arrive. He then explained, "This is why I tried to stop them from experimenting with those monsters. From the very beginning, I knew we should have never given that authority to the Trichler family." Hearing this, she frowned and gritted her teeth in anger. Dot couldn't wait any longer. He immediately dashed out, declaring, "I'll handle this myself." Dot's rashness panicked the man who tried to stop him. "Wait, someone stop him." But he continued to rush toward the monster. Paying no mind to the person behind him, the man trembled with anger and yelled, "You're just a student. Do you even know what a blessing is?" Standing beside him, she called his name softly, confused. His eyes were sharp, determined, without a single shred of fear. He charged forward decisively. The system immediately updated. Supreme Divinity has merged with the priest's rosary. The golden vessel opened and a brilliant light shone everywhere. System display. Available skill, Holy Serpent's Asceticism. The system continued to register dangerous situation detected. The system sounded a warning. Life-threatening danger. S-rank desperate survival skill activated. At the same time, he slid between the monster's legs. The man noticed and shouted to stop him. "Hey, wait! Why aren't you running away?" He replied urgently, "I'll buy some time. Evacuate the students immediately." The ferocious monster lunged forward to attack. A system notification sounded. Asceticism skill activated. All substats will be converted into Constitution. Holy Serpent. He held out his hands and a golden cross, radiating a brilliant light, appeared. A pair of angel wings materialized. Protecting him from the monster's powerful attack, he gritted his teeth and endured. Everyone who witnessed this was dumbfounded. Is that an angel's blessing? How can a mere student cast that a priest in the back was pulling his hair out in jealousy? That idiot. Does he even know that official priests have to pray thousands of times just to use it? She remained silent, calmly thinking to herself. After everything that's happened, I'm not even surprised anymore. I've seen him hide his true strength countless times now. He still couldn't believe his eyes and shouted, "How can that stupid monster not break a simple barrier like this?" He then questioned, "And that barrier was put up by a student." A calm voice cut in, exposing him. "Are you really a professor? You haven't even done anything." Yahello turned to ask, while Elia just slapped him with a deadpan expression. She replied nonchalantly, "Student council president. He's clearly useless to us. Let's just ignore him." Then she asked the other girl, "Why were you so late?" Her body trembled as she hastily explained, "I fainted in the basement. I just got up here." "Never mind that. That guy, Dot, he can cast a blessing right on the spot like that. He's not even a battle priest. They say you have to train for at least 15 years to use it. How is this possible?" Hearing this, Yahello was slightly surprised. She pondered holy energy that can only be used after 15 years of training. Yahello recalled what Dot had said before. "I need to learn in this department. If I don't protect her, she'll die. I have no other reason." She fell into a deep thought, her gaze distant. Elia glanced over, assessing him with admiration. Even if it's a stored blessing, there should be a limit. To be able to control it this well, Yahello looked over her chest, heaving, "What are you talking about?" Elia closed her eyes and gently explained, "He's doing all of this for the Chesterton family. And for you. Otherwise, there would be no reason for him to do all this." Yahello was slowly starting to realize, though she wasn't sure. I had a feeling from the very beginning, but she sat hugging her knees in the darkness. Her indifferent eyes gazed in one direction, where a light was emanating from. Yahello's eyes widened to get a better look. At that moment, she raised her sword high towards Dot, thinking, You really are a strange one." The attacks were getting stronger, and Dot was struggling to hold on. Elia exclaimed in bewilderment, "President." Everyone's eyes widened in astonishment. Yahello's gaze was resolute. Without hesitation, she charged straight at the monster with her sharp sword. Yahello leaped up and struck the nape of the monster's neck. The sudden pain made it roar. In an instant, the monster was slammed into the ground. His eyes widened as he exclaimed, "Yahello!" It roared with rage and indignation. The monster got up and charged toward her like a speeding bullet. She decisively raised her sword towards it. The power radiating from it was overwhelming. He stared wide-eyed at Yahello. That's the real Chesterton sword technique. The real one. She skillfully stabbed it repeatedly. A continuous stream of light energy shot forward, aimed straight at the monster's body. Yahello's gaze didn't waver in the slightest. The monster was attacked so relentlessly it couldn't counter, only endure. She spread her legs, and as quick as a flash, Yahello appeared right in front of it. In just another moment, her sword would reach the monster's neck. The arc of her swing created a shockwave that grievously wounded it and sent it flying. Creating a massive explosion, she majestically brushed her hair back and watched. Yahello chanted a spell, Charmontana. An earth-shattering explosion occurred. Yahello calmly looked at Dot, who was still amazed by her power. He marveled, "It's on a completely different level from the copy I used before. Wait a minute, is this right?" In the original story, Yahello was never involved in these events. The system window appeared. Main quest acknowledged slay the monster. Current casualties 0. Incredible achievement. A system notification reminded him time until Knight's arrival 30 seconds. His gaze shifted to the right as he speculated. All the professors who supported experimenting on live monsters are supporters of the Chesterton family. If Yahello is getting involved herself, it means she's daring to acknowledge her family's mistakes. Yahello stood before a sea of fire, completely unafraid, her posture full of pride. But Yahello has never been interested in politics, so why is she helping us? I don't get it. Oh well, I should just focus on completing the quest for now. I'll figure that out later. Outside the fire blazed fiercely. A voice shouted, "Everyone get out. Is anyone still trapped?" A voice called back in confirmation, "No, everyone made it out." She said nothing, her expression indifferent as she sheathed her sword, exuding an air of elegance. Elo sighed in relief. It's over. Dot furrowed his brow as if he'd spotted something serious. From behind the monster emerged from the flames, swinging its arm at her. He immediately warned, "President behind you." Elo's eyes widened as she sensed the danger. Just as she turned, she saw that he was already there. He used the angel's blessing, blocking its surprise attack to protect her. The monster's fur was completely burned away, revealing a skeletal head. It roared and attacked Dot relentlessly. Elo was stunned by his actions. He was exhausted, his eyes glazed over as he coughed up blood and slowly collapsed, his vision blurred. A long time later, Dot awoke with a start. A voice spoke up, "You're awake." He dazedly muttered, "The monster." "Elo." Athananti replied, "The monster has been defeated." And Dot, he recognized the person before him. It was Dean Athananti. She closed her book and cheerfully announced, "Of course. All the students are safe. Are you surprised to see me? I didn't get a chance to speak with you after the freshman tournament." Dot regained his composure and replied, "It's all right. I'm fine." He wondered to himself, Athananti, the immortal who has lived for over 1,000 years. Why would a person like that come to see me? Is it because I used the angel's blessing? She got straight to the point. "I came here to give you some bad news." And not just bad news, but something even worse. "Which one do you want to hear first?" Dot answered without hesitation. "The bad news first." She began to explain, "You're getting more attention than anyone in the history of the academy. No student has ever been involved in as many accidents and incidents as you. And based on my experience with your bad luck, this is going to continue." Dot frowned, thinking, "It's not like I wanted any of this to happen anyway." He asked again, "So what's the worst news?" She narrowed her eyes, interrogating him. "What do you know about demons?" At that moment in the room, the light from the lamp brightly illuminated the room. Athananti chuckled lightly and said, "That's a rather interesting reaction, Dot. You don't seem worried at all, even though the academy president just brought it up." Dot hesitated. Well... Sitting on the bed, he looked at her and continued, "I can't tell you everything I know. If I did, I wouldn't be able to guess what you're plotting." Athananti was curious. Plotting Dot calmly replied, "I'm the only one who hasn't been assigned to a class, and I can't even participate in any of the classes." "I see. Are you upset about this situation? Like with the recent events? I've had to handle quite a few problems. Have you noticed? Right now, the ruling powers don't have much control over this society anymore. The timing couldn't be worse. They'll do anything to recruit talented individuals, even if they have to drag them up from hell." Dot looked away and said, "The coup in Baitat, the change in the structure of the Holy Empire, and the struggle for succession, aren't they all connected? That's the cause of all the recent incidents." She glanced at him, thinking to herself, "Just look at you." Then she replied aloud, "Yes, you're right. Currently, the three great powers may seem peaceful on the outside, but deep down, the struggle to acquire exceptional talents is still ongoing. Most students don't care about these things, but its impact has spread across the entire continent. It has affected the Alpanti Tribal Council and the Holy Empire, causing all three of these mighty empires to stir. A storm is brewing for a great war." Dot stroked his chin, remarking, "All the events I've been involved in must have caught their attention. But even so, they haven't made a move yet. This could only happen if someone is controlling the flow of information." She said nothing, just crossed her arms and smiled with satisfaction, thinking he's even skilled in politics. He frowned gravely and asked, "So that means it would be dangerous if they started paying attention to me?" Athananti replied softly, "That's right. The world would be destroyed." Hearing this, Dot was instantly startled, imagining a scene of firebombs raining down on the continent and humanity perishing in a raging inferno. How terrible would it be if the apocalypse came? She showed him a piece of paper with the seal of the purifiers on it and asked, "Do you recognize this seal? This is why I asked about demons." Dot looked at the seal on the paper, horrified. The seal of the purifiers. She looked at his slightly surprised expression. And she was quite surprised herself. He knows about this too. The Purifiers are a demon-worshipping organization that operates in the shadows. Their sole objective is to summon demons to destroy the world. Both the failed assassination of Yahello and the monster outbreak were they're doing. Both of those incidents were aimed at the Trickster family, and there's no guarantee there won't be a third attempt. Dot was silent for a moment, then asked, "Why are you telling me this?" She summoned a black card with white cracks on it and replied, "I can't tell you the reason, but I want you to take this." He took the black card completely surprised. An interdimensional key. This is a balance-breaking item that can open a gateway to other worlds. Seeing the look on Dot's face, Athananti immediately understood. "Look at your face. I take it you know what that is, don't you? Keep it safe, and show me what you can do. If you please me, I'll give you more gifts." Boom. A small explosion happened up high. Everything returned to how the room was at the beginning, with Athananti just pouring herself some tea. She said this conversation must be kept secret. Hearing this, he immediately agreed. Suddenly she asked again, "How are things going with you? The warrior candidate and Lady Trickster?" Dot's face immediately fell as he screamed internally, "Why is she asking about that?" But he replied, "They're fine." Athananti sipped the hot tea in her hand and smiled knowingly. "I hope things continue that way." He was curious. Why? Dot asked, confused. "Do I have to maintain a relationship with them?" She just kept smiling and replied softly, "Yes. If you don't, the world will be destroyed. He immediately clutched his head and shouted, "Not again," imagining a rain of firebombs again because of the world being destroyed. Dot groaned inwardly. Why is this world so easy to destroy? Seeing his pained expression, Athananti laughed and said, "I'm not kidding." But she added silently, "The final goal of this plan, Sia, can only be achieved by the three of them." The scene instantly changed to outside the academy. Somewhere a sigh could be heard. He held the interdimensional key in his hand. Destroy the world? Dot stood in the middle of the hallway, feeling utterly dejected. I'll think about that later. But I can't believe she gave this to me. An item that a player should never be able to possess. Something's definitely wrong with the main scenario. Suddenly a voice rang out. There you are. Hearing the voice, Dot was instantly stunned. Professor Zodiac, the headmaster, and a Zodiac Knight smiled and said, "I was looking for you, Dot Campbell." Dot quickly hid the key behind his back. But he calmly asked, "Professor, why were you looking for me?" The headmaster replied, "Even though you haven't been assigned to a class yet, I can't let you keep skipping classes forever. This will be your temporary assignment. Starting tomorrow, you'll be studying with these people." Then his expression froze. The people mentioned in the letter were class president Elola Chiselton and Luflicia Gizanex. The thought of those two girls made Dot break out in a cold sweat. He screamed, "It's the end of the world." Outside the academic classroom window, sunlight bathed the walls in gold. Inside, a lecture was underway. That is why the sword can be considered the most basic weapon in any situation, as I've said before. Then what about situations with obstacles? Suddenly a voice cut in. "Professor, I have a question." He stopped. "Please go ahead, Lady Chiselton." Eloa spoke arrogantly. "Don't you think you're getting a bit too lost in theory? I don't believe this knowledge would be truly useful in actual combat." Hearing this, the professor immediately turned around shocked and asked, "What was that?" Sitting in the lecture hall amidst thousands of other students, she said with an air of arrogance, "In a fight, even a seasoned knight can be taken down by a long-range weapon." Her words immediately flustered him. "Well, that can indeed happen," Eloa continued arrogantly, "unless one plans to train to the absolute limit. With swordsmanship, it's essential to supplement it with training in archery or throwing techniques." At that, Elia squinted one eye and glanced over, thinking, "I'm not so sure about that. But I think the professor has a point. As long as you can use the surrounding terrain, a swordsman can definitely dodge an arrow or a boulder. But if the opponent closes the distance, are we just supposed to fight them barehanded? So when there's no terrain to take advantage of, what will you do to compensate for the attack range? Isn't that precisely why we're learning about close quarters combat? Surely you understand the difference between theory and practice, don't you? This is the professor's lecture. If you feel you're being forced to attend, then it would be best for you to remain silent." Caught right in the middle, he could only stay silent, his face filled with fear at the fierce, albeit smokeless battle between the two women. On the other side, Eloa raised an eyebrow and repeated, "Forced." Then the two of them locked eyes full of defiance. Eloa said in a low voice, "As the student council president, I have a responsibility to ensure the quality of the education my fellow students are receiving." The other girl refuses to back down, hissing through gritted teeth, "Then stop interrupting the professor. Why must you always butt in?" Seeing this, the professor immediately spoke up weakly, trying to mediate. Perhaps we should end the class here for today." Eloa frowned disdainfully and said, "Don't tell me you actually believe this theory is applicable in a real battle." Elia retorted in annoyance, "At least it's more useful than listening to you speak." "We most certainly do. I can't believe a warrior candidate can't even distinguish between advice and an insult." Just then the professor cleared his throat and asked, "Can we please continue with the lecture?" Elia clenched her fist and smirked triumphantly. "I agree, which means I win. I knew it. He was bound to take my side." She sighed, brushing her hair back as she listened to Elia's gloating, then said, "It's just one loss. Professor, please continue." Seeing that the situation had calmed down, he hesitantly got the class back in order. "Very well. In that case, today will be a self-study day." Meanwhile, I turned my head frowning as I watched them. While working on the system screen, I thought to myself, they've been at it this whole time. Thanks to them, all the other students have started giving us strange looks. I'm sitting between a warrior candidate and a clan heiress. Whatever, I'll just focus on my own stuff. On the system screen was an image of Elola Chiselton. Trust level 5, favorability 1, reward ready to claim. Not bad at all, he marveled. Next were the new skills. First basic, Chiselton swordsmanship, proficiency 58%. The legendary swordsmanship of the Grand Ducal Chiselton family, the user can effectively utilize this skill with any type of weapon. And second basic, deep breathing technique. A breathing method that increases stamina and physical strength to their maximum levels. This skill has a high compatibility with the swordsmanship of the Chiselton style. He stroked his chin, thinking. Both of these skills complement each other based on physical stats. This could be the most powerful combination, and the only person who can take full advantage of it is Elora. This is also the reason she's the final boss. The system screen then changed to an image of Elia Gizanex, curiosity level 5, interest level 1, reward ready to claim. After that, the system has issued a new rule called the Law of Evil. Use your influence on the righteous individuals linked to you. Following individuals will be forced to accept one request from you. Keep your friends close and your enemies closer. High favorability with righteous individuals will yield greater rewards. If you can make certain righteous individuals Turn evil, the rewards will be even greater. Staring at the information on the screen, I was completely baffled. What the hell is this? I can get a reward for turning a good person evil. The scene shifts in an instant. Right now, the group from the academy is walking through a vast forest. Konjap announces in a loud voice, "Welcome, my little chicks, to Survival 101. We will be practicing our survival skills if you don't want to end up dead in some dungeon or ruin somewhere. So it's best you learn how to survive starting right now. Your task today is simple. Go into the forest and bring back something you think I'll like. You have 10 minutes. Everyone started to get confused. Don't you have any grading criteria? He calmly explained, I already told you. It all depends on me. The student council president and I will be grading you, so good luck. Hearing this, Elo said nothing, just let out a quiet scoff. Everyone began to groan. That's too vague, Professor. At that moment, amidst Konjap's shouting, Elia flashed a wicked smile. Life is about experience, you little chicks. We will begin in 5 minutes. While everyone behind him was gathering to form groups, Dot sat alone on a rock staring at the system screen, deep in thought. Keep your friends close and your enemies closer. How am I supposed to use this? How do I turn a good person evil? Suddenly, Elia appeared from nowhere behind him, leaning down to ask Dot, Do you want to team up? Dot turned back and replied, You should work with your own friends. But she kept her friendly, inviting smile. Come on, I'm your friend too. He didn't answer, just thought to himself, It's best if you just go back to your main character party. Elia kept trying to convince him, Why don't we work together? He thought silently, No. If that happens, I'll just be a thorn between you two. She put on a cute, concerned expression and asked him, What's wrong? Are you not feeling well? He turned his face away and replied, It's nothing. It's just, we're not that close. Hearing that, Elia looked like she was about to say something, but she couldn't seem to get a single word out. Then her expression stiffened. She jerked her head to the side with a pout. Humiliated by Dot, Elia immediately turned and walked away. Is that so? What a shame. Fine. Chia called out worriedly, Elia? He glanced over and felt a pang of guilt. Was I too cold? She looks pretty upset. Talian, who had observed the entire scene, suddenly spoke up. Dot Campbell. His voice made Dot curiously raise his head to see who it was. Talian stroked his chin and questioned him. What is your relationship with the warrior candidate? Surprised, he thought to himself, Talian, and I'm the second strongest person in our class right after Elia. Later on, he even becomes the SS rank sub-boss of Chapter 1. What's his problem with me? But on the outside, he simply replied, I only know her by chance. He said darkly, Someone as strong as Elia has no reason to get involved with you. At that moment, the system also displayed Law of Evil. A righteous individual has been angered by your influence. Talian loosened his collar threateningly. There are a lot of rumors surrounding the suspicious outcome of your duel. Why do you keep trying to get close to her? He suddenly realized something. Status notification. It seems I've triggered a condition of his personality by making him angry. Talian gritted his teeth and hissed, Tell the truth. That duel was just an act, wasn't it? Dot ignored his hateful words, thinking only to himself. Later on, he's going to become a sub-boss. Maybe I can use him and activate the Law of Evil. For later use, Talian yelled, You can't hide the truth from me. Unfazed Dot calmly stepped right next to him and whispered, The duel wasn't fake. But maybe you wanted it to be fake. Seeing your target defeated in a single blow? Can you feel the gap between us? Elia, who seemed to have walked far away just a moment ago, and was still secretly watching him this whole time. A serious Dot stood before Talian and said, Seeing your target defeated in a single blow. Can you feel the gap between us? Hearing those taunts, he became furious, his face twisting as he bit his lip. So why don't we make a bet? Let's bet on who gets a higher score on this assignment. How about that? Things might look a little ugly on the surface, but it seems everything is going according to plan. All right, perfect. Elsewhere, the Zodiac was calling out to Ilo. Hey, student council president, the teacher told me to help grade the students. Don't you think you're being a little arbitrary with this? She immediately replied, I've been serious from the very beginning. The emotionless Zodiac, his face stern, asked again, Really? Then explain. Why? Does he have a perfect score when he hasn't even submitted his assignment? Ilo replied without a care, because he deserves it. Hearing this, the teacher was completely shocked. What did you just say? She winked and said, It seems you're not satisfied with my grading method. The Zodiac couldn't hold back anymore and raised his voice. Why don't you try putting yourself in my position for a change? Elo, not backing down, retorted, If that's the case, why don't you observe him for a bit so you can see for yourself why he deserves a perfect score? Then Elo turned about to leave. I'll be right back. But he grabbed her shoulder, stopping her. Wait, I know you're trying to get close to him. Even though he'd hit a nerve, she wouldn't admit it. Of course not. I just don't want him to be alone with the warrior candidate. Then Elo quickly made an excuse to leave. Something could happen between the two of them. Please let me go check. But he was just as firm. Even if I don't give you permission to participate, I can absolutely kick you out of here. How about that? Meanwhile, in another location, Chisa was very worried. She watched and quietly assessed Ilya. She seems different today. Just then, Ilya used her brute strength to land a punch on the beast in front of her and a kick on the one behind her at the same time. Luka, an axe slung over his shoulder, asked, All the strongest monsters are gathered here. Could it be there's something special nearby? A blonde, freckle-faced youth replied. You guessed right. This is a rare ore deposit. The one with the monocle added, if we can get a few gems, we'll probably avoid a low score. Another person chimed in. All right, let's pause the monster hunt. Luca helped move the ore. He shouted, help! A round black mass was coalescing on someone's chest. That thing appeared on Elia while she was still busy fighting the beasts. Chisa noticed the ominous phenomenon as well, and she was very worried. The color of darkness. Such dense emotion. I can see it all. Even if she isn't showing it, she's furious. She immediately went over to Elia, who was sitting on top of a vanquished monster. Elia, how have you been lately? She showed no sign of being different, turning back with a radiant smile and a cheerful voice. Huh? Lately nothing special, Chisa asked with concern. Even so, if something's bothering you, I can help. Although Elia acted fine, the black thing on her chest proved otherwise. What are you talking about? Nothing is going on at all. Her denial only made Chisa more worried. Even if you say that, I'm afraid your emotions might overwhelm your reason. Chisa continued trying to persuade her. I know something is bothering you. At that, Elia could no longer bear it. She sat down at the base of a tree and sighed.